Yemo. Ning Qingxue looked up. She was exploding with joy after receiving the necklace crafted by Yemo himself. She just wanted Yemo to help her put it on, but saw Yemo put his hands through her collar. She subconsciously screamed, but as soon as she did, she regretted it. Yemo. Ning Qingxue looked up. She was exploding with joy after receiving the necklace crafted by Yemo himself. She just wanted Yemo to help her put it on, but saw Yemo put his hands through her collar. She subconsciously screamed, but as soon as she did, she regretted it. Yemo was startled. He found his hands had touched Ning Qingxue's chest. It was soft and smooth, and he almost couldn't control himself. If Ning Qingxue didn't scream, perhaps he would have grabbed hold of it. He quickly let go of his hands and looked apologetically and awkwardly at Ning Qingxue. After a long while, he said, "Sorry, I almost couldn't control myself." Ning Qingxue's face was bursting with redness. She was a little annoyed. "This idiot, if you want to touch it, then touch it. Why say it out? Why talk about it?" She buried her head into Yemo's chest again. She was hopeful and joyful, but a little worried at the same time. Her feelings were very confused. But soon, she decided that since Yemo did that, it meant that he liked her too. Otherwise, he wouldn't be like that. When he was treating her wounds and she took off her shirt, he didn't do anything to her. But now, it meant that he liked her. Ning Qingxue waited a while, but didn't feel Yemo move again. She looked up with confusion, but just saw Yemo looking at her with awkwardness of his face. Ning Qingxue opened her mouth and wanted to say she didn't mind, but she really couldn't. He cursed at Yemo for being so dumb. Did she have to ask for it? "I'll help you put this on." Yemo broke the awkwardness and took the necklace from Ning Qingxue's hands and helped her put it on. "Is it pretty?" Ning Qingxue looked and asked. "Very pretty," Yemo praised from the bottom of his heart. The beads he used pearls and resonated with Ning Qingxue's skin color. Ning Qingxue, who was already extremely pretty, was made more royal and gorgeous with this necklace. "It's really pretty." "Thank you, Yemo." Ning Qingxue looked at the necklace that reflected of white luminosity. The more she looked, the more she liked it. Ning Qingxue's unintentional actions almost made Yemo unable to control himself, but he thought about Luoying and resisted his urges. He then took out water and breakfast. The two finished breakfast, and Yemo packed everything up before carrying Ning Qingxue on his back and tying her to himself. Then he was about to leave. Ning Qingxue felt warm and safe on Yemo's back. It was like heaven compared to her walking in the forest by herself at night. "Be careful. There's this cat-like thing which seems to be very strong," Ning Qingxue reminded. Yemo smiled. "I already killed it last night. I don't know what animal it is, but it's certainly very fast. I went for it last night because it almost killed you. As such, the first thing I did last night was to kill that guy." As he spoke, he felt the softness of Ning Qingxue's body, causing his heart to burn with fire. He thought his self-control was getting worse and worse. If he used this mentality to foundation establishment, he wouldn't succeed for sure. Hearing Yemo's words, Ning Qingxue felt warm at heart and just made a low MHM sound and stopped talking. After a long while, she continued, "Actually, I wasn't angry in the morning. In fact, I also like—" Her voice got low until even Yemo couldn't hear it. Just when Yemo wanted to talk, he stopped. There were two bloodied bodies at his feet. Obviously, they fell from the top of the cliff not long ago. Yemo's heart sunk. There seemed to be more people here. He was scared that Ning Qingxue would be frightened by this and immediately said, "Qingxue, close your eyes first. Open them after we go up." Ning Qingxue didn't need Yemo to remind her. She had closed her eyes already. As long as she was with Yemo, she wouldn't worry about anything else. Yemo walked towards where Ning Qingxue came down and put the rope in his ring. It seemed not bad. He didn't know what it was made from. Since there were people up there, he needed to be careful. If there came another Earth-level master like Bien Pe, he would be no match for him, even though he just got a little power boost, much less now that he was carrying Ning Qingxue. Yi Mo looked up and saw nothing but mist. Other than some sun light shining down, he couldn't see anything. He really didn't know how Ning Qingxue got down. A girl like her could come to this step. Regardless of whether he found Luo Ying in the end, Yi Mo had made up his mind that he wouldn't let this girl on his back get hurt for her entire life. This cliff wasn't hard for Yi Mo. Even though he was carrying Ning Qingxue, it wasn't hard if he wanted to go up. After all, unlike ordinary ancient martial artists, he had wind-controlling technique. This was why both he and Bien Pe fell off the cliff, but Bien Pe was killed by him. If it was on the cliff, he was no match for Bien Pe, but once both of them fell off, he could kill Bien Pe. This was the difference between ancient martial artists and Dao cultivators. The 1-kilometer high cliff was very steep, but it wasn't hard for Yi Mo at all. He used wind-controlling technique, and he seemed to be blown up by the wind onto a rock surface. He paused for a moment and used another one onto a higher rock. After tens of times repeating this, he was a few hundred meters high. Ning Qingxue felt wind brush past and subconsciously opened her eyes, but realized she was flying on Yi Mo's back. Even the mist was under her feet. For a moment, she forgot about her fear of heights and had an impulse for wanting to fly. But soon, she looked down and felt dizzy. They were already this high. This cliff was so high, and she really didn't know how she got down last night. Ning Qingxue was sure that if she had to come down again, she wouldn't dare. She actually did all this last night. The more she thought, the more she felt this wasn't something she did. She subconsciously hugged Yi Mo closer. She felt extremely safe on Yi Mo's back. Perhaps only this man would make her feel safe and sound. Yi Mo noticed Ning Qingxue's movements, so he turned around and said, "Don't be scared. There might be people at the top. We need to be careful. I'm not scared when I'm with you," Ning Qingxue immediately replied. Yi Mo took a small break and used wind-controlling technique again, another 100 times before stopping. He could faintly hear fighting at the top of the cliff. Yi Mo thought there were people there indeed. It seemed quite a lot of people knew about the red leaf pumpkin fruit, but he just didn't know what sort of level of people came this time. When Yi Mo rose up another 200 meters, he could clearly scan the two fighting at the top. One was a man in his 50s, had triangular eyes and a bald head. The other one was a nun in her 30s. She seemed very pretty but cold and aloof. She had Horsetail Whisk as her weapon, and each of her attacks were aimed at the Baldy's vitals. The Baldy's sword wasn't any bit weaker than the woman's Horsetail Whisk. Seeing the two fight, Yi Mo was shocked. From the way they fought, Yi Mo knew they weren't worse than Bien Pe. 2 Earth-level masters? Yi Mo was shocked. One was already too much for him, but now there was 2. If he was caught, he would certainly be dead. The 2 people both seemed to have felt Yi Mo's spirit sense, and both looked at Yi Mo's position. Yi Mo's heart sunk. Not good. He was caught, no doubt about that. Yi Mo even stopped breathing and took back his spirit sense. The fighting sound still came here, but Yi Mo could tell they stopped fighting with their lives. Their fighting was shifting over here, gradually. Obviously, they had come to a tacit agreement to eliminate the outside influence. He was caught, no doubt about that. Yi Mo even stopped breathing and took back his spirit sense. The fighting sound still came here, but Yi Mo could tell they stopped fighting with their lives. Their fighting was shifting over here, gradually. Obviously, they had come to a tacit agreement to eliminate the outside influence. What to do? Yi Mo searched for a way desperately. At this time, if he was stopped by the 2, he would die for sure. He surely couldn't run away from 2 Earth-level masters. The sound was getting near Yi Mo. Yi Mo suddenly had an idea. He didn't go down and went up instead. He didn't use wind-controlling technique, but took out a climbing metal claw and climbed up carefully. There was indeed someone. The two Earth-level masters had seen Yi-Mo, but they didn't expect Yi-Mo to be carrying a woman on his back. They stopped fighting. Their thoughts were the same. They had to eliminate Yi-Mo first, regardless of who he was. Yi-Mo stopped pretending, as though he just saw there was someone there. He subconsciously stopped his movements and stared at them. A brief moment later, he screamed and fell down like a shooting star, soon disappearing in the mist. Humph! Just an insect, the Baldy sneered. His long sword started attacking with full power again towards the nun. He thought that even if he suddenly fell, he wouldn't be able to live, much less someone so young with a woman on his back. The nun's Horsetail Whisk also fought against the sword. They returned to fighting with their lives, as though they didn't see Yi-Mo fall down the cliff. The moment Yi-Mo fell, Ning Qingshue's heart went to her throat, but she soon recovered. She was very satisfied if she died with Yi-Mo. But things took a turn for the unexpected. When the two fell below the mist, Yi-Mo stood accurately on a rock. After a while, he heard more fighting noise. Yi-Mo said, "Qingxue, don't talk. We were found by two strong guys on the cliff. I need to think of a way to run away without them knowing." Ning Qingshuo had her arms around Yi-Mo. She had the joy of sudden life. Although she didn't regret dying with Yi-Mo, if she could live with him, why would she want to die? Yi-Mo didn't dare to go up, and instead shifted carefully. When he was about 500 meters, the side of the cliff blocked him from moving sideways. If he was to go over it, he would have to go up. But going up would be going to the top. He didn't dare to go up, so he could only carry Ning Qingshuo moving down. Yi-Mo just moved down 100 meters or so and found a crevice on the cliff face. Yi-Mo climbed in without hesitation. When he went in, he saw a plethora of herbs. His heart started to beat rapidly. Was this the place Mo Kong talked about? He looked around and didn't see any space, abyssal rock. He was quite disappointed, since most of the herbs here were quite ordinary. But soon, he was excited again. He saw a large lotus sprouting from the cracked surface. 1,000-year lotus seed! Yi-Mo almost screamed. He didn't expect it to be here. He was actually so lucky. Yi-Mo quickly dug out the entire lotus and put it in his ring. He didn't check how many lotus seeds he got. After taking them, he looked around carefully and dug out more herbs. Although they weren't spirit herbs, they were quite old and also precious. What's that fruit? It looks like a pumpkin. I wonder what it tastes like. Ning Qingshuo pointed to a meter-tall tree. Yi-Mo also saw it too. He felt it was a wild pumpkin and didn't care. Now that Ning Qingshuo asked, he immediately said, "I'll pick it for you." Then Yi-Mo landed in front of that tree. When he smelt the fruit, he almost lost his mind. Face-preserving fruit! Yi-Mo almost screamed. It wasn't just a regular spirit herb, but one that was countless levels higher than his silver heartgrass. This was impossible. How could the spirit-deprived earth have such a fruit tree? Although he thought it was impossible, it really was in front of his face. This fruit was useless for cultivation, but it had an outstanding effect. Once it was made into face-preserving pill, it would be worth a whole city for female cultivators. Yi-Mo counted and saw there were 12 on the tree. He immediately picked all these and put them into a jade box. These fruits were so precious that countless people fought after them. Suddenly, Yi-Mo thought of the red leaf pumpkin fruit they were talking about. If they found out he took some, they would investigate. Thinking about this, Yi-Mo dug out the entire tree and put it in his ring. Then he reordered the place he dug until people couldn't tell he was here. Then he carried Ning Qingshuo and left here quickly from another crevice. After leaving the crevice, Yi-Mo didn't dare to stay. He continued moving until for a few more kilometers. He soon found himself on the hill, and there was still the fighting sound. Luckily, he had wind-controlling technique, or even a monkey wouldn't be able to crawl here the way he did. Did we get out? Ning Qingshuo also recognized that this was the road she climbed the other day. let's go quick. Yi Mo carried Ning Qingxue down the mountain, and after walking for another hour or so, he finally stopped. He had walked so far that those two masters probably didn't know about them. Plus, Yi Mo estimated that even if they knew there was a red leaf pumpkin there, they wouldn't be able to find it. It was too well hidden, so he didn't how news of it got out. One thing he was confused about was that why did it appear at a place like this? If you're tired, just let me down, Ning Qingxue said worriedly. I'm not tired, plus I like carrying you, Yi Mo said casually, but he actually didn't think much. When Ning Qingxue heard this, she thought to herself, so you're not as dumb as I thought you were. But she didn't feel unhappy at all, and instead had a sweet feeling. Here, eat it. Yi Mo took out a face-preserving fruit and gave it to Ning Qingxue, although it was the biggest waste to eat it like this because it had no effect unless it as concocted into a pill. Ning Qingxue bit it and said, It's not bad. You should take a bite too. Then she passed the fruit to Yi Mo. Yi Mo smiled. I can't afford to eat this. This fruit is worth an entire city. It can't even be evaluated by the things in this world. Huh? It's that precious. Then why did you let me eat it? Pack it up quick. Ning Qingxue passed the fruit back to Yi Mo. She wasn't clueless like before. The things Yi Mo did all meant that he wasn't an ordinary person. If he said it was worth an entire city, it meant it was really valuable. And the things Yi Mo did were unexplainable with common sense, but he still didn't avoid her. This meant she had a strong position in Yi Mo's heart. This made her very happy. Now that Yi Mo gave such a precious fruit to her, she felt a little embarrassed. Don't worry, I still have some. Even if it was the last and you want to eat it, I will still give it to you. Because if you like it, I will give it to you. Yi Mo made it sound completely natural. Ning Qingxue phased for half a beat and surged with happiness in her heart. Her decision was right. Yi Mo was worth what she did. Yi Mo didn't hear Ning Qingxue eat nor talk for a while, and subconsciously looked back. He then saw Ning Qingxue's eyes were red and swollen. Qingxue, what happened to you? What's wrong? Ning Qingxue licked the fruit in her hand and wiped her eyes. I like it. I do like it. What? Yi Mo didn't understand Ning Qingxue's words. Yi Mo, thank you. I gave you a water drop. You gave me the ocean. Thank you, Qingxue will always be yours. Ning Qingxue's voice grew so low until it couldn't be heard. Yi Mo felt his nose. He didn't think Ning Qingxue would be touched so easily. She was really an emotional girl. If Yi Mo didn't feel it himself, he would never believe she was so emotional. Yi Mo felt his nose. He didn't think Ning Qingxue would be touched so easily. She was really an emotional girl. If Yi Mo didn't feel it himself, he would never believe she was so emotional. He was also touched by her words. To him, he just did what he should be doing, but Ning Qingxue reacted so much. They both seemed to feel embarrassed and didn't talk for a long time. Just when Yi Mo was prepared to ask Ning Qingxue where the sky ditch was, Ning Qingxue suddenly asked, What's the use of this fruit? Why is it worth so much? Yi Mo smiled and said, I'll tell you after you eat it. No, I want you to tell me first. Then I'll eat it. Ning Qingxue behaved in a spoiled manner in front of Yi Mo for the first time, yet it came out so natural. Yi Mo helplessly said, Okay, in that case, I'll tell you. It's called face-preserving fruit. It can be made into a pill called face-preserving pill. Anyone who eats it can have their skin, appearance, and even the organs remain the same forever at the moment they ate the pill. They can't live forever, but mortals can extend their life by 10 years. Although Yi Mo said it casually, Ning Qingxue was shocked. There was actually such a pill in the world. If someone else said it, she would think it was bullsh*T, but Yi Mo said this, and that meant it was real. In that case, this fruit was worth countless times more than what Yi-Mo said it to be. After half a beat, Ning Qingxue reacted and carefully passed the fruit shakily back to Yi-Mo. Sorry, I bit it. You didn't tell me it was that precious. If we made it into a pill, then we could buy multiple large companies. Pack it away quickly. Yi-Mo smiled and pushed it back. If you like it, then eat it. I still have 11 here. If you still want more, I still got more. Doesn't matter if you eat it all. It's food anyways. From young to maturity, her parents spoiled her a lot, but that was based on her behavior, and they were her parents. If she said to sell the company and everything they owned just to buy a fruit, her parents would definitely stop her, but Yi-Mo didn't mind at all. It didn't matter if she ate it all. Ning Qingshue's hand with the fruit stopped. She was clear how much money Yi-Mo had in the past, and it could be said that Yi-Mo owned nothing. She didn't think she was this important in his heart, and this made her unable to hold back her tears. She softly caressed Yi-Mo's hair and said with a stutter, "Why are you spoiling me like this? You will turn me bad." Yo-Mo sunk into silence for a while before murmuring, "From the moment you ran into Shin-Nong-Jia, went down the cliff, and risked your life to save me, I've decided to spoil you for your entire life. I will only spoil you more in the future." Pausing for a moment, Yi-Mo continued, "If I can find Luo-Ying, and you're still willing to be with us, I will spoil you more. If I can't find Luo-Ying this life, I will stay with you my entire life. And I'm willing." Ning Qingshue's voice was still a little stuttered. She paused before saying, "But will Luo-Ying's sister accept me?" She didn't finish, but her concern was real. This was a one-husband, one-wife society. She loved Yi-Mo and knew he wasn't a normal person. Even though Yi-Mo had a wife called Luo-Ying, as long as Yi-Mo was willing to accept her, she had made up her mind to stay with Yi-Mo even if her family was against it. She was just scared that Luo-Ying wouldn't accept her. When Yi-Mo said her past wife was Luo-Ying, Ning Qingxue had a concern. She was afraid before that Yi-Mo would leave without notice when he found Luo-Ying, but now she was worried Luo-Ying wouldn't accept her. And she had a stranger thought. She could only accept Luo-Ying and Yi-Mo together. If it was another girl like Qi Wanqing, she wouldn't be able to accept it. Would Luo-Ying think the same way as her? If her parents didn't accept it, she could leave with Yi-Mo, but if Luo-Ying wouldn't accept it, she didn't know what to do. Hearing Ning Qingshue's words, Yi-Mo had the look of deep thought in his eyes. After a while, he seemed to be talking to himself. "Master Will." He suddenly stopped and quickly darted out tens of meters and stared coldly at a bush. "Come out." Ning Qingxue was still immersed in Yi-Mo's words and didn't notice what was happening at all. There was a rustling sound, and a youth with tattered clothes crawled out from the bush. He looked at Yi-Mo and Ning Qingxue in shock and confusion. "Savage!" Ning Qingxue called out. Yi-Mo smiled. "He's not a savage. His clothes were torn apart not long ago, and they're camo. Perhaps he is the rescue team you were talking about. Who are you guys? How do you know I'm a rescue team member?" The youth noticed both Yi-Mo and Ning Qingxue were normal people. Ning Qingxue also understood the situation now and said, "You really are from the rescue team? You came in to save Zhang Chang? You know of Zhang Chang? Who are you guys? How do you dare to walk in here?" The man was more curious. Yi-Mo saw he seemed to be very weak, so he threw out a packet of biscuits. "Eat something and tell us what happened." At this moment, the man finally calmed down. He ripped open the biscuits Yi-Mo gave him. He ate very fast and devoured the biscuits in no time. Yi-Mo then passed him a bottle of water. After finishing, the youth said with fright, "A few days ago, my team and I received orders to rescue a lost tourist here. We came in as a team of 8. When we came in, there were 2 tourist groups leading the way. We even brought guns. We thought we wouldn't be scared, even if we met savages, but when we walked near the sky ditch," talking about this, The youth had obvious terror in his eyes. He looked at Yi Mo before continuing. We just saw there was a shoe there. The people immediately said it belonged to Zhang Chang. Another tourist went to pick up the shoe, but when he did, there was a sharp scream from inside the ditch. He stopped and shivered. Yi Mo took out a simple jade necklace artifact and gave it to him. Wear this and then talk. Which rescue team were you from? Are you the only one left? The man put on the necklace without hesitation and said, Thank you for your magic artifact. I will return it when we leave. It seemed he knew it was a magic artifact. Yi Mo waved his hand. No need. You can keep it. I have a lot of these simple artifacts. Continue talking. The man immediately continued. I'm Wang Kailan. Our rescue team belongs to the Shun Nongjia area. That day, the scariest thing wasn't the sky ditch, but the sound from it. The tourist who picked up the shoe froze for a moment and turned towards the sky ditch. Then he jumped in. Ning Qingxue remembered she also saw a shoe that day. If it wasn't for the evil repellent charm, would she jump down too? Thinking about this, she had a fit of fright. She subconsciously hugged Yimo's shoulders. Smelling Yimo's familiar smell, she calmed down. Wang Kailan continued, When we saw the man jump down, we were worried, and one of my squad mates started to shine at the ditch with the light. As soon as the light shone in, he also fell. We don't know what happened. At this moment, we knew things weren't good. There must be something in the sky ditch, and we all started to run. Before I left, I also saw two of my squad members run towards the ditch and jump in. Yi Mo stayed silent for a while before asking, In that case, why are you fine? Wang Kailan said with fright, It was because I wore a magical artifact that was blessed. I don't know if it was due to that I was able to escape. This is too metaphysical. I didn't dare to run out the way I came from. I wanted to find a way out, but I wasn't able to for a few days. I also didn't see more rescue team come in. You are the first people I met in a few days. Ning Qingxue experienced it firsthand, and knew Wang Kailan wasn't lying. Thinking about this, she said worriedly to Yi Mo, How about we take another route to... Yi Mo smiled. Take another route? When you came in, didn't that thing scare you too? I also told that thing that if it dared to come again, I will make you turn it into ashes. Perhaps it was scared, so it let me run away, Ning Qingxue said with fright. Chapter 209. Terror Reappearance. Chapter 209. Terror Reappearance. You also come from the sky ditch? Wang Kailan asked. Yeah, the Zhang Chang you are looking for came from my tourist group. He was the one who stepped on the ground when the ditch appeared. Ning Qingxue replied, but she immediately remembered that this was related to her. If Zhang Chang didn't try to show off in front of her, perhaps that sky ditch wouldn't appear. Yi Mo turned and said, I'll go there now and turn it into dust. Are you scared? Ning Qingxue shook her head. As long as I'm with you, I'm not scared at all. If she had to walk that path again, she would rather die. However, it was different when she was with Yi Mo, and she felt very sweet. Yi Mo was going to destroy that thing because she was frightened. Yi Mo looked at Wang Kailan and said, If you're not scared, then come with us. If you are, then stay here. Wang Kailan saw that Yi Mo seemed to be walking around very easy here with Ning Qingxue on his back. Most importantly, Yi Mo gave him a magical artifact. From this, it could be seen that Yi Mo was no ordinary person. If he stayed here by himself, it would be suffering. Plus, even a girl like Ning Qingxue wasn't afraid, so why would a man like him be? Thinking about this, Wang Kailan replied, I'm not afraid. If you dare to go back, I dare to go with you. Yi Mo looked at Wang Kailan with praise. Not bad. You have some guts. In that case, let's go. They returned the way they came from. Yi Mo didn't travel at full power, but was still much faster than Ning Qingxue. Wang Kailan could also barely follow, the way that Ning Qingxue took a whole night and a few hours to travel was done by Yemo and Wong Kailan in a few hours. At 3 p.m., they were near the sky ditch. People had already come. Yemo immediately noticed that tens of meters from the sky ditch were barricaded. It seemed something happened later, and people weren't allowed to enter here. Wong Kailan looked at the pitch-black sky ditch and still felt terror. Ning Qingshu only dared to secretly look at the sky ditch from Yemo's shoulders. I don't seem to have that feeling anymore. Wong Kailan immediately felt that he didn't have that sense of terror today. Yemo knew that even if it was some sort of evil spirit, it wouldn't dare to come due to his young chi plus. Those things may be very dangerous to normal people, but it was nothing for him. His spirit sense could detect any hidden thing as long as the thing wasn't in a higher state than him. It was just as though his invisibility could trick many people, but in the cultivation realm, this low-level invisibility was completely useless. We can leave from here. Qingxue, I'll send you out first. I'll go in there and have a look, Yemo said. Before Ning Qingxue could reply, Wong Kailan was worried. Why would Yemo dare to go in and look? Ning Qingxue bit her lips and said stubbornly, No, I'm staying with you. The reason Yemo wanted to go in the sky ditch and look was to destroy the thing that scared Ning Qingxue, but he was scared Ning Qingxue would be frightened by the scene in the sky ditch. Now that Ning Qingxue wanted to go with him, he immediately canceled the plan and said, In that case, let's leave. Wong Kailan let out a deep sigh of relief after hearing Yemo decided not to go. He was really afraid Yemo would go down there, but at the same time, he admired Yemo's courage. Yemo also had his own plans. He wasn't afraid of the dangers there. To him, this danger was nothing compared to Earth-level masters. He was afraid those 2 Earth-level masters would chase here. Although the possibility was small, it could still happen. After the 3 left the bush, there were more barricades outside. People were starting to come, and Yemo said to Wong Kailan, I won't leave with you. People outside are coming. It's best you don't say a word about seeing me. Goodbye. Wong Kailan looked at Yemo's disappearing figure in shock. He still didn't know what Yemo was called. He only knew that he was strong, quite bold, and gave him an artifact of unknown level. He saved his life, but since he asked him not to talk about it, Wong Kailan wouldn't. Just when he wanted to flip the fence, he saw people coming. There were more than 10 people. He felt relieved because he was finally out of danger. That horrifying forest petrified him quite a bit. But at this moment, he heard that sharp howl again. The bleakness that chilled the bone came again. It was the same sound he heard last time. That shrieking howl was much stronger than last time. He immediately had this sense of helpless fear. Not only was the sound much stronger, even that bleak feeling was way stronger than before. He immediately knew that bleak feeling didn't disappear. It was probably afraid of that young man who saved him. And now that Yemo was gone, he was finished. Just when Wong Kailan wanted to run, that bleakness closed up on him quick. Wong Kailan felt as though his soul was being pulled away, but he couldn't move at all. The people coming for him were still a few hundred meters away. A sense of hopelessness filled his heart. Suddenly, Wong Kailan felt that jade necklace at his chest emit a pale yellow light. Then, a more sharper shriek sounded not far from him. It seemed as though it was injured and disappeared instantly, and that feeling of his soul getting pulled away also went away too. At this moment, he saw more than 10 soldiers run to him with guns. Wong Kailan took a deep sigh of relief and wiped the sweat from his forehead. He took out the jade necklace Yemo gave him. He now knew that not only was this a magic artifact, but also a very high-level one. This would be worth at least millions in the shops, but that young man gave it to him so easily. Too bad. He didn't get to know him. This was the second time Yemo saved his life. At this moment, Yemo and Ning Qingsue had left Shinnong Jia Mountain District and went into the nearest town. He put down Ning Qingxue and took her to the shop, buying her a t-shirt and long pants, as well as a pair of shoes. Then, the two left the town. Where are we going? Ning Qingxue could finally stay with Yi Mo now, and Mo's attitude towards her had changed. There was only joy in her heart. No matter where Yi Mo wanted to go, she would follow. Yi Mo thought for a while before saying, I still have some things I need to do. After I'm done, I will go Ninghai. I've planted some silverleaf grass there. How about I send you back first and come find you after I'm done? Ning Qingxue smiled sweetly. I actually live at Ninghai. Are those precious things of yours called silverleaf grass? I know before I left, I asked Su Wei to help look after it. Don't worry. I'll go to Ninghai and look after your silverleaf grass and wait for you to come back. Ning Qingxue grabbed Yi Mo's hand like a wife. She was a little worried he wouldn't come back for a long time. Yi Mo thought of the bloodied silver heart grass last time and clutched Ning Qingxue's hands closely. Qingxue, you're really dumb. You actually used your own body to protect a small grass. What if you're hurt? If I didn't happen to come back last time, I really don't dare to think about the consequences. Even if I kill the entire Song family, so what? MHM. Ning Qingxue replied quietly. She felt sweet because of Yi Mo's concern. After a while, she said, I actually don't regret it. At that time, I only know you liked that grass a lot, but I hurt you again and again. I just wanted to help you keep something that was useful to you. Other than that grass, I didn't know what I could do for you. Sometimes, I really feel I'm useless. I won't allow you to do something so stupid again. I don't care about that grass. Okay? Yi Mo pitifully held Ning Qingxue's hands. A girl loved him wholeheartedly. I know you won't care. I could even eat that face-preserving fruit whenever I want. Sometimes, don't spoil me too much. I'm afraid that feeling would suddenly disappear. Ning Qingxue's voice grew soft. The nicer Yi Mo was to her, the more she worried that she would suddenly lose it one day. She wanted herself to be useful to Yi Mo and not be his burden. Stupid, don't think like this anymore. You know, I won't suddenly disappear in front of you. Before was before, now is now. It's different, okay? Yi Mo looked at the extremely vibrant and beautiful Ning Qingxue and felt more loving at heart. Seeing Ning Qingxue not talk, Yi Mo talked slowly. I will make the Song family disappear. Don't worry. No, I don't care about that. Everything is fine as long as you come back. Chapter 210, Secret Plans. Chapter 210, Secret Plans. Ninghai Su Jingwen had her eyebrows locked in a frown while sitting in the same room with her mother. She didn't expect her cousin would suddenly propose to her through her mother, and even wanted to settle things by October 1st. This made her very annoyed, not knowing how to deal with it. She was very grateful to her cousin Xiao Weizheng because he also stayed with her and played with her. However, she only held brotherly feelings to him, not the love between lovers. This was why she rejected her cousin's invites a few times. It wasn't to say that she didn't notice this beforehand, but she felt that she wasn't prepared, at least not now. Su Jingwen's mother, Mu An, originally thought Su Jingwen wouldn't reject because when Xiao Weizheng came back, she was the happiest person. However, she didn't expect her daughter to frown and say she hadn't thought about it. It was obvious she wasn't shy but really didn't think about it. Although Mu An really liked Xiao Weizheng, it was her daughter's business, so she could only provide suggestions. If Su Jingwen really didn't want to, she wouldn't force her. Jingwen, this concerns your entire life. You're not young anymore, and I can only give you advice. Xiao Weizheng is good-looking and a doctor from America. Main thing is he's still the same all these years he's been at America. I won't say anymore. Just think about it yourself. This is you young people's business. Sigh. Mu An seemed to have thought of her own unfortunate marriage. Although Su Jingwen was so old, She and her father was no better than strangers. Seeing her mother walk out, Su Jingwen also sighed as she rubbed her forehead. She didn't know how to reject her cousin. Although her mother said her cousin hadn't changed, she felt her cousin was too possessive. Perhaps in his heart he felt she belonged to him, and this made Su Jingwen reject the notion subconsciously. However, her cousin was so much better than that Wang Peng. Even if he was to have such feeling, he had to wait at least until she was his lover. But now, she really only had brotherly feelings towards him. Su Jingwen remembered last time when her cousin tried to force her to accept the bracelet. That made her uncomfortable, and she subconsciously looked at her bracelet with only 2 beads and thought about Ning Qingxue. She said she was going to a dangerous place last time, and she wondered if she had come back. Su Jingwen called Ning Qingxue, but the line was dead. Did something happen to her? Su Jingwen thought. She could no longer resist and was going to call Li Mumei and ask. At this moment, her phone rang. Su Jingwen picked up and heard the voice. She immediately screamed in surprise. Qingxue, you're back? Where are you? Okay, I'll come over immediately. Beijing Song family. Song Qiming, the leader, had a serious face as he sat on the leader chair in the meeting room. Even the old man of the family, Song Yuanyi, came to this meeting. However, even though Song Yuanyi was Song Qiming's father, he still sat on a chair lower than Song Qiming. This meant that Song Qiming was completely responsible for this family meeting. But other than the Song family, there were 2 people who weren't from the Song family at this meeting. One was a very handsome man in his 30s with white skin and looked scholarly. Another was an old man in his 60s with a red face yet a shining black hair. His hair seemed to be tied up while his eyelids seemed sunken. This hair was very strange in modern society. Our Song family appears to be glamorous, but we're actually shaking under the weather, Song Qiming said, and scanned all the Song family members before continuing. Yemo, I believe everyone knows, slaps our face again, and even killed 3 of our direct lineage members. However, we didn't even dare to seek revenge. If this continues, we would crumble ourselves. Song Qiming's face got more serious. Qiming said the danger. Now everyone think of a plan. Our Song family had underwent so much troubles. Can we not even overcome this little problem? The one talking was Song Yuanyi. Song Qiming nodded. Other than our family members today, there are also O Feng from the O family and Li Mingqiang predecessor. O family was almost annihilated entirely by Yemo due to a small thing. The 2 tigers of the O family were killed by him as well. Li Mingqiang predecessor's disciple, Hu Qiu, was also killed by Yemo. It could be said Yemo loves killing and is full of blood on his hands. Now, our Song family is in conflict with him, and I believe the next to fall will be our Song family. If we can't prevent this, we're not far from death. Song Qiming finished, and O Feng's face was pale as he clenched his fists. He didn't say anything, but from how his body was shaking, it could be seen how angry he was. The old man suddenly opened his eyes and sneered. The young people now are getting cockier. Just because he has some power, he shows off everywhere. Hu Qiu is my disciple. If I don't kill this bastard and get revenge for my disciple, then what have I been studying martial arts for? Predecessor Li, don't worry, we also want to kill Yemo as soon as possible, but this person is quite strong. If we're going to attack, we need to succeed with one strike. We must not let him have a chance to breathe. Plus, Mr. Hu Qiu also died due to our Song family. We won't stand by in this issue. A man sitting on the left from the Song family bowed and said, originally, the Song family was asking for Li Mingqiang's help, but after he said that, it became the Song family helping Li Mingqiang. Li Mingqiang was old and astute. How could he not tell? He glared coldly at the man, but didn't say anything. Song Qiming reproached, however. Song Hu, shut up. Stop using your little tactics. Predecessor Li Mingqiang came to help our Song family this time. Song, who put in the effort but didn't get any good result. His face burst red as he sat aside, not saying anything. Song Hai stood up and said, "Leader, predecessor Li, this Mo is indeed no ordinary person. Other than predecessor Li, no one from our Song family is a match for him. Plus, we can't use proper means against him because he actually became the head instructor of flying snow. However, there is someone who can take him on. If leader wants to see him, I can bring him here immediately." "Who? Invite him in quickly." Song Chiming was troubled for not having a way to deal with Mo. But now that someone said they had a way, how could he not be desperate? Although he knew Li Mingqiang was strong, he wasn't sure if Li Mingqiang was enough for Mo. After all, even that tiger from the O family was killed by Mo. Mo was so strong that he was starting to get scary. Plus, he couldn't use the country's power against Mo. Even if he could, was Mo someone who could be fought with numbers? Just when everyone was guessing, Song Hai brought in a skinny middle-aged man. He was in his 40s, triangle eyes, long eyebrows. He walked in the meeting room of a top family in China, but was very much at ease. "Leader, this is Dongfang Shi. He found us not long ago and wishes to help us against Mo." Song Hai introduced Dongfang Shi briefly and retreated. Song Chiming stood up. "Dongfang Shi, were you the head advisor of Nanqing? The person who lead Nanqing to establish a base at Sinai?" Dongfang Shi smiled like an ancient man as he saluted with his fists. "Indeed, it's me. I didn't expect my humble name to be in the ears of the Song family leader. It's my honor. Please sit, please sit." Song Chiming knew about Dongfang 11. When Nanqing was still struggling to start up, and when even Qian Long Tu was running around for his life, Dongfang Shi appeared. He settled the score all by himself. Countless plans came from his head, and eventually lead to the formation of the largest mafia in Asia, Nanqing. It could be said that Nanqing was a mafia that even a country couldn't do anything about. This was all due to Dongfang Shi. Song Chiming heard that Dongfang Shi frequently sigh. "I regret not being able to be born in the Three Kingdoms and settle the score with Zhuge Liang and Sima Yi." One from this, it could be seen what great goals he harbored. However, under the new political system, he was unable to put his talent to use. He wasn't from a big family, so he couldn't go in the political field. Thus, he could only help Qian Long Tu to become a small emperor, but this dream was shattered by Mo. It could be said that the person Dongfang Shi hated the most now was Mo. Dongfang She sat down with ease and said, "Is the Song family leader troubled because of Mo?" Song Chiming had heard so much about Dongfang Shi's big name. Now that he asked, he said straight up, "Indeed, the Song family is quite troubled now. We can't do anything about Mo. Please help us, Dongfang brother." Dongfang Shi smiled. "Since I came to help the Song family. Plus, I already have great enmity with him. Even if I don't, I can't bear to see someone so cocky. But before this, I want to know what trump cards the Song family has." One TL note. Zhuge Liang was renowned as the smartest tactician, being able to predict the enemy's every move. Sima Yi was the same, but slightly inferior to Zhuge Liang. Chapter 211. Killing Through Another's Hands. Chapter 211. Killing Through Another's Hands. Song Chiming hesitated for a while and didn't talk. Dongfang Shi saw this and laughed. Then he stood up and said, "In that case, just pretend I never came." "Hold up, brother Dongfang. Please sit. There's nothing really I can't talk about. Although we can't use the country's power, but we can pull out some army from the south, north, and west side. However, we can't only use the excuse of training them. The time can't be too long, no more than 8 hours." Then Song Chiming looked at O Feng and Li Mingqiang and said, "We have 4 yellow level masters. Predecessor Li is black level intermediate stage master." Dongfang She sat down and took another sip of the tea. Song Qishan saw that Dongfang she didn't talk for a long while and was a bit unhappy and asked, "What does Mr. Dongfang think about this?" Dongfang she put down the cup and slowly said, "Our country has an ancient saying, know yourself, know the enemy, and you can fight 100 battles without losing. I believe the Song family leader knows where Yemo is at now and what he's doing." Song Qiuming nodded and said, "Indeed, he took a mission to find something." Dongfang she nodded and said, "Since Song family leader is so genuine, I won't take corners. Yemo probably went out to find some data. Of course, he wouldn't be able to find it." Song Qiming suddenly looked at Dongfang Shi and coldly said, "How does Mr. Dongfang know about this?" This concerned with the country's secrets. His father only managed to find trace news of it due to his connections all over Beijing. He didn't expect Dongfang Shi to know as well. Dongfang Shi didn't seem to see Song Qiming's scary glare and looked at the other members of the Song family, but didn't say anything. Song Qiming immediately understood and said, "Song Hai and Qishan stay. Feng and predecessor Li Mingqiang please stay. The rest of the people may leave." Soon, only these people remained. "Now can you talk, Mr. Dongfang?" Song Qiming said again. Dongfang she looked at Feng and sighed. Although he didn't know why Song Qiuming kept Feng, he knew he couldn't tell him to go. "I came this time to make a deal with the Song family. I will help the Song family kill Yemo, but the Song family needs to promise me two things." Dongfang she said, at a moderate pace. Song Qiming obviously saw Dongfang she look at Feng, but he said, "Oh, please be clear, Mr. Dongfang. If we can kill Yemo, it's fine even if the Song family makes some sacrifices." "Okay, since you are so straightforward, I'll just say it." Dongfang she's voice sounded as though he has made up his mind. "I'm actually the member of North Sand now. I believe Brother Song has heard of it." Dongfang she paused here, but Song Qishan suddenly stood up. "What? You're from North Sand?" Song Qiming's face sunk. He felt Song Qiming couldn't control himself, and unhappily said, "Qishan, don't interrupt Mr. Dongfang. Sit down." But he was quite disappointed. He originally wanted to pull Dongfang Shi into the Song family, but now it seemed it wasn't possible. Dongfang Shi didn't seem to see Song Qishing's shock and continued slowly, "I know the country is very against the North Sand now, but that doesn't affect our deal. I can promise with the help of North Sand, Yemo will have nowhere to escape and eventually be sent to the Song family or die without a complete body." Song Qiming didn't show any emotions and said, "Mr. Dongfang, let's talk about your two conditions. First, Yemo captured a few of our North Sand members. Please help get them out. Second, after this is done, please return the data Yemo brought back." Dongfang she said these and took the teacup while waiting for Song Qiming's reply without any nervousness. Song Qiming's face sunk and changed for a long time before saying, "The first, I could perhaps get one person out. As for the second, that's impossible. That data has been declared top national secret. I can't get it out. Plus, even if it's in my hand, it would be betraying the country if I gave it to North Sand." After Song Qiming finished, Dongfang she's face didn't show any disappointment or unhappiness. He just smiled and said, "Okay, if you can save that woman and draw out the location of the data and defense mechanisms, that's also possible." Dongfang she never expected to get the data from Song Qiming. He also knew that was impossible, but Song Qiming could still draw out where it is. If he couldn't even do that, he has no right to cooperate with him. Dongfang she agreed. Song Qiming turned around and looked one eye at the old man. Dongfang she didn't feel strange at all for Song Qiming agreeing to his demands. He expected this. Everyone at the scene looked at him, and then Dongfang she slowly said, "Yemo is not just a fighter. He has some intelligence, but his greatest weakness is arrogance. If I didn't take him so lightly last time, he would be dead already. Mr. Dongfang, please enlighten us." Song Qiming didn't doubt Dongfang she's words at all. Which famous person didn't know about Dongfang? She's big name in China. Dongfang she nodded and said, I've researched this Yi Mo. Although he's from the Yi family, he seems to have big problems with them. However, he's quite close with his brother and sister. Do you mean for us to kidnap his sister and brother and use it to threaten him? Song Qishan frowned and said. Dongfang she sneered. If it's just that, then there's no need for me. He paused before continuing. Although predecessor Li is strong, but I believe Yi Mo is on par with him, and he is not someone who can be stopped with numbers. Can you stop predecessor Li with numbers? Although Dongfang she said that, everyone knew he was taking care of Li Mingqiang's face. Although Li Mingqing was strong, but faced with people and firearms, he wouldn't be able to escape. Dongfang she was implying that Yi Mo was much stronger than Li Mingqiang. Although Li Mingqiang also realized this, he just had a bleak face and didn't talk. Dongfang she couldn't be bothered with Li Mingqiang's feelings and said, There are 3 campus queens of Hua Uni. The first is Nie Shuang. She is living in her relative's house, and this relative could be counted as from the Song family. Dongfang she looked at Song Qiming and Song Qiming looked at Song Hai. Song Hai quickly said, Nie Shuang is living at Song Fei's house. She is a distant relative of Song Fei. Song Qiming frowned. He had only heard of the name, but couldn't think of who the person was now. He didn't understand why Dongfang she was talking about this, so he asked, So, what? Dongfang she smiled. Although Yi Mo was decisive in killing, he has a fatal weakness, and that is he cares about relationships too much, and he likes to involve himself with annoyances that comes in his eyes. If he saw such a pretty girl like Nie Shuang in danger, would he go save her? Once he saved her, it shouldn't be hard to seduce Yi Mo with Nie Shuang's beauty. As long as Yi Mo falls in love with Nie Shuang, and even go in bed, then the later plans will fall into place. Yi Mo's sister Yi Ling is also a campus queen of the Hua Uni. I believe she looks very good too. Song Qiming immediately thought of something, and his expression became interested. He looked at Song Hai and said, Song Hai, give some water for Mr. Dongfang. Mr. Dongfang, please continue. Dongfang, she said, according to what I know, a month later, there will be an auction at a Dao Square in Wuliang Mountain. Many hidden sect masters will be going there. Those without a plate will be killed immediately when they go in. I happen to know the entrance to this auction. So what? Even Song Qiming couldn't resist the desperation and asked, Tell Nie Shuang to bring Yi Mo to Wuliang Mountain and call Yi Ling. Tell her that her brother is at Wuliang Mountain, and then bring Yi Ling to the auction place. That way, Yi Mo would be dead for sure. Dongfang she's mouth had a cruel smile. Everyone looked at Dongfang she wanting him to say how Yi Mo would be dead for sure. Dongfang she didn't keep it from them and continued, The entrance has 2 masters of the hidden sects guarding it. One of them is at the peak of black level, and one is said to be halfway to earth level. The main thing is, these 2 are extremely lustful. It could be said that they are sex demons. Once these 2 see Nie Shuang and Yi Ling, they would make a move for sure. Mr. Dongfang means for these 2 to rob the 2 girls and make them fight with Yi Mo? Song Qiming asked. Dongfang she shook his head. Not quite right. It's against the rules for Yi Mo to just go into that passageway. But the hidden sect people can't just rob girls too. You can make Nie Shuang seduce one of them. Then the other wouldn't be able to resist and make a move on Yi Ling. Someone as prideful as Yi Mo would be extremely infuriated when he's cheated on by the woman he loves and has his sister harassed. When he is extremely angry, his battle power would decrease for sure. The main thing is both of his opponents won't be easy. Why not choose Ningqing Xue? Song Qishan asked subconsciously. Dongfang she shook his head. I still have big uses for her. I will tell you this later. After Yi Mo is captured by the 2 hidden sect masters, he would be dead for sure. Even if he barely makes it out alive, he would be heavily injured. At the exit, we just need predecessor Li and a few yellow-level masters. Then we will have another 2 yellow level peak stage masters to stop him. Yi Mo would have no way to escape, but you will also need to have some men nearby to prevent him from running into the forest. Seeing everyone look at him, Dongfang, she confidently said, with my previous setup, we won't even need to worry about Yi Mo running into the forest. Seeing everyone look at him, Dongfang, she confidently said, with my previous setup, we won't even need to worry about Yi Mo running into the forest. Everyone fell into silence. After a long while, Song Qiming said, but do you know where Yi Mo is now? Dongfang, she smiled. Song family leader underestimates North Sand too much. As long as Yi Mo doesn't intentionally hide himself, we can know where he is very soon. I believe Yi Mo would definitely not intentionally hide himself now. Even if what you said comes true, Nye Shuangshuang is just a normal student. Even if she's pretty, so what? You're asking a student that hasn't yet gone into society to trick Yi Mo. Before she even talked, perhaps Yi Mo would notice. This time, it was Song Qishan talking. Even Song, Yuani nodded afterwards. Indeed, I know Nye Shuangshuang, and she's rather shy. Although she's named the prettiest girl in the school, she isn't good at socializing. Plus, a girl's first time is rather serious for them. I believe it's 2. Although Song didn't finish, everyone could tell he doubted if Nye Shuangshuang could accomplish the task. However, Dongfang Shi interrupted. It seems you don't really understand Nye Shuangshuang. There are a lot of beautiful women, but the reason I chose her as first is because she and Yiling are both at Qing University. The other main reason is she isn't the girl from the rural she looks like. We did some investigations, and if we're correct, she belongs to the semi-hidden sections. She comes from 4 states and 9 moons temple. And this girl has an evil cultivation method. She loves sucking the yang essence of men. She has caused quite a lot of harm to men, but no one has found out yet. She's from the semi-hidden sects? She cultivates such an evil art? Even Song Yuani felt chilled. A girl who cultivated such an evil art was hiding in the high school. Song Hai obviously didn't expect this, but he immediately remembered Yi Mo's personality and said, in that case, Nye Shuangshuang is no longer a virgin and should be very familiar with sex. In that case, Yi Mo probably won't like her. Dongfang, she sneered. Even if he doesn't like it, he would know after they've been on the bed together. If Nye Shuangshuang could do that, then we've already succeeded. Plus, you probably don't know that Nye Shuangshuang had met up with Yi Mo once. If Yi Mo sees her in danger, it's very likely he would help her. Song Qiming's joy retracted. He thought a long while before saying, Yi Mo is not someone who can be tricked so easily. Since Nye Shuangshuang had seen Yi Mo before, it means that Yi Mo probably knows who she really is. However, Dongfang, she calmly said, that's because you don't know the rules of the temple. If the female students were to let others know of their identity, they must kill that person. Even if they can't, they must report back. The people from the sect would kill the person as soon as possible. If the student's identity was revealed but they hide it from the sect, do you know what the consequence is? Boiling alive in oil is a light punishment. And Yi Mo had seen her before, but he is in no danger. This means that Yi Mo only knows Nye Shuangshuang is a student at Hua University. He doesn't know where she comes from. Plus, if their identity were to be so easily discovered, they wouldn't have the right to be a semi-hidden sect. Even we paid a huge price to know her identity. The Song family people took a deep breath. Obviously, they didn't expect North Sand to have such a strong power. If Nye Shuangshuang really didn't report back, then wouldn't this plan be a joke? Song Hai said worriedly. Dongfang, she sneered. First, there are the consequences of not reporting. Even serious lovers wouldn't do that. In addition, the temple is a branch of a Tao sect. 9 Moons Temple is a branch of Heavenly Emotion Severance sect, and their full name is 9 Moons Emotion Severance Temple. The disciples from there wouldn't have any emotion for anyone. Plus, Nie Shuangshuang is one of the outstanding students of the temple. How could she do that for Yi Mo, whom she had only seen once? But no matter how much Dongfang she calculated, he didn't calculate that Yi Mo had spirit sense. The moment he saw Nie Shuangshuang, he noticed something wasn't right. Dongfang, she didn't understand the heart of a woman, so he didn't calculate that Nie Shuangshuang really didn't report back. Any mistake would be fatal, much less when Dongfang she made too. If he heard of a song called Don't Guess the Heart of a Girl, then perhaps he wouldn't make the second mistake. But no matter what, the first mistake was unavoidable. Song Chiming stood up and bowed. After hearing Mr. Dongfang's words, I finally understand that people with immense fame do have true capabilities. Leave Nie Shuangshuang to us, Song family. We won't let a mistake happen. However, Dongfang she shook his head. It's not easy to get her to work with us. Luckily, she loves Yang Essence. I heard you Song family has a high-level magic artifact, Jade Woman Plate. Perhaps this could motivate her. When Song Yuani heard the words Jade Woman Plate, he suddenly stood up and stared at Dongfang. She closely, however, Dongfang she seemed perfectly at ease. Song Yuani sighed and sat back down slowly. He was thinking that this North Sand was too scary. When Su Jingwen got to the rendezvous place, Ning Qingxue was already there. Qingxue, you seem to have changed a lot. You came back from that dangerous place? Su Jingwen could tell with one glance that not only was Ning Qingxue more healthy-looking, she no longer seemed depressed like last time. She could feel Ning Qingxue seemed more happy and energetic, and this made Su Jingwen very confused. MHM, Ning Qingshue's smile was as sweet as the blossoming of 100 flowers. Even Su Jingwen was attracted by this manner of Ning Qingxue. Although Su Jingwen had great confidence in her looks, she had to admit that sometimes Ning Qingxue was prettier than her. Where did you go? You seem so different from last time. You went somewhere dangerous, but it let you have this sort of change. This means I also need to go somewhere dangerous, Su Jingwen joked. Ning Qingxue helped Su Jingwen order a cup of coffee and nodded. Those few days were my happiest days. Although there was fear that I would die before those days of happiness. But when I thought about the happiness, I felt everything was worth it. I don't regret it. I called you out today to thank you. It could be said that you saved my life. Su Jingwen opened her eyes wide and looked at Ning Qingxue. When did she save her life? This is for you. I'm very grateful you gave me 3 beads last time. This bracelet is for you. Ning Qingxue took out that bracelet for Su Jingwen. It's so pretty. Su Jingwen could tell with one glance how precious the bracelet was. The 12 beads had a dim aura, making people feel very comfortable. Where did you buy it? Although Su Jingwen knew that it wasn't as good as the beads she gave Ning Qingxue, no matter how pretty this bracelet was, but she still very much liked this bracelet. Ning Qingxue shook her head. This wasn't bought. I asked Mo to make it for you, because I used up the 3 beads you gave me last time. What? Su Jingwen's hand shook, and the bracelet almost fell to the gruand. No wonder this bracelet had a familiar serene feeling. It was made by Mo. It could be said that this bracelet was worth much more than the 3 beads she gave her. However, Su Jingwen had a mixed feeling. Although she knew it was worth more than the 3 beads she gave Ning Qingxue, she felt uncomfortable. When Ning Qingxue left, she told her to ask Mo to make a bracelet for herself, but when she really got it, she felt it was missing something. Although the 3 beads she gave Ning Qingxue was coarse, Mo made it for her birthday. But Su Jingwen thought this bracelet was also made for her by Mo, so why didn't she have the same joy as before? Perhaps it was because Ning Qingxue asked Mo to make it for her. Ning Qingxue saw Su Jingwen seem to be lost in thought and called, "Oh." Su Jingwen came back to her sense and put the bracelet on the other hand, but she didn't take off the bracelet with 2 beads. Then She smiled to Ning Qingxue and said, "Thank you, Qingxue. Did you meet Yimo?" When Ning Qingxue heard Su Jingwen talk about Yimo, her face was full of bliss. "Yes, I went to find him this time. I was still with him yesterday, but he said he would come back for me soon." Su Jingwen hesitated for a moment before saying, "If Yimo comes back, can you bring him to my house for a while? My mom wants to thank the person who saved her life." So Ning Qingxue said without hesitation, "Sure, I'll ask him when he comes back, but I'm sure he will agree." How do you know? "I feel Yimo has his own judgment. Sometimes he wouldn't be affected by the outside world." Su Jingwen was speaking the fact. Before Ning Qingxue went to Shenongjia, she knew more about Yimo than Ning Qingxue. And she knew that Ning Qingxue seemed to be together with Yimo, but really wasn't. Ning Qingxue's eyes turned to that of longing and said after a moment, "Because I know he wouldn't reject my words." After the fight with Bien Pe, Yimo knew that his power compared to top masters was a far cry. Although he almost died, he still benefited some. After the fight with Bien Pe, Yimo knew that his power compared to top masters was a far cry. Although he almost died, he still benefited some. Other than getting the face-preserving fruit and the 1,000-year snow lotus seeds, he had a better understanding of himself. His current power was at most the same as Black Level Peak Stage ancient martial artists. Yimo had opened the snow lotus and checked. There were 9 seeds, but the rest were gone. Perhaps they were eaten by birds or fell off themselves. However, Yimo was already very satisfied with 9. He just needed a cauldron to concoct pills. After sending Ning Qingxue away, he bought a ticket to Guilin. After all, the things he was doing now was too dangerous. It would not be very convenient to take Ning Qingxue with him. Yimo took the train due to a few reasons. One was because there was no direct flight from where he lived to Guilin, and another was he hadn't had a good sleep for a while now, so he wanted to sleep on the train. Compared to most other passengers, Yimo's hands were empty. Other people all had big or small bags. So when Yimo was getting his ticket check, people subconsciously stayed away from him, but Yimo didn't care about that. Just when Yimo was getting his ticket checked, a voice called out to him, "Is it Yimo ahead? Wait up." Yimo stopped, thinking Ning Qingxue had gone back to Ninghai. Who else here knew him? But soon he saw who it was. It was a journalist with a backpack and a camera hanging off her neck. Yimo had seen her before. She was called Xiao Lei. He met her when he went to Flowing Snake. She was very bold and dared to go anywhere dangerous. Yimo didn't even need to think to know that she came here to interview about the Sky Ditch and Shenongjia. "It's you? What's the matter?" Yimo turned around and asked. As a famous journalist, she had seen all sorts of people, but never has she been lost for words. She didn't know how to reply to Yimo's question. Yimo smiled and said, "If you don't have anything, I'm going on the train. Goodbye." "Huh? Wait, I have something." Xiao Lei reacted. Yimo was her hero, the hero who saved her life. She finally met him, so how could she let him go just like that? "What's the matter?" Yimo wasn't in too much of a rush. There were a few minutes before the train drove off. "Yes. Oh, by the way, I haven't been able to thank you last time for saving me. I finally met you now, so I want to invite you to food." Then she realized she was really dumb. Yimo obviously had train tickets in his hands, but she asked him out for food. As expected, Yimo waved the ticket in his hand and said, "That's no big deal. Don't worry about it. You're probably going to do interviews at the Sky Ditch, aren't you? I have one suggestion. It's up to you if you listen or not. I advise you to not go in and stay away from the Sky Ditch." "Huh? You also know about the Sky Ditch? It should be fine now. A lot of journalists have been there, but now they don't let us in yet. However, they've sent cameras inside and said there's a cauldron-like thing. They got a lot of images, and the specialists are analyzing it now. It's said that it could be from the Qing dynasty, so this sky ditch may be a tomb from the Qing dynasty. Xiao Lei saw that Yi Mo was going, but she had no reason for him not to go, so she tried to find something to talk about. Yi Mo was originally just listening to her out of politeness. After all, it would be too rude to walk off when she was talking. However, Xiao Lei's words grabbed his attention. It was a cauldron, and he happened to be missing a cauldron. He just didn't know if it was for concocting pills. Thinking about this, Yi Mo asked, "Do you know how big the cauldron is?" Seeing that Yi Mo seemed to be interested in this, she quickly said, "We don't know yet now, but I have some pictures now." Then she took off her bag and started going through it. Yi Mo subconsciously walked in front of Xiao Lei. His heart was pumping. If that cauldron in the sky ditch really was a concocting pill cauldron, then he wouldn't need to go look for one. Although Yi Mo had the material to craft a cauldron too, the cauldron he made with his current power would be far from enough to concoct pills, such as face-preserving pill. Moreover, the materials to make the cauldron were relatively precious and hard to find. Xiao lay squatted on the ground, and the stunning view at her collar was exposed. Although Yi Mo was standing next to her and could see easily with one glance, his mind wasn't focused on this. He was staring closely at her hands. To him, the cauldron was the most important thing. The moment Xiao Lei took out the pictures, Yi Mo took it immediately. Although it wasn't very clear, but it could be seen that it was indeed a cauldron. Although it wasn't clear, he saw a ditch next to the cauldron. That was where the waste went. This was a concocting pill cauldron, for sure. Yi Mo's heart thudded with joy. He didn't expect a cauldron to appear in front of his eyes just when he was thinking about one. At this moment, his impression of Xiao Lei rose drastically. Were these taken at the sky ditch? Yi Mo took the photo and asked. Yeah, Xiao Lei replied immediately. Then, she said, I came to pick up a coworker but didn't expect to meet you here. I'm really lucky. If you're not busy, I want to invite you to food. I will pay for your ticket later. Since he saw the cauldron, Yi Mo wouldn't be leaving for sure. Now that Xiao Lei said that, he immediately nodded. Haha, the train has probably started now. You don't need to pay for me. See if your coworker has come. Xiao Lei turned around and saw a man and a woman carrying bags walking over. She quickly waved her hands and said, Bai Jie, Chu Dong, here. Xiao Lei, is this your boyfriend? We took a photo for you guys just then. The girl walked up to the two and shook hands with Yi Mo. Hello, I'm Bai Jie, Xiao Lei's co-worker. Yi Mo then shook hands with Chu Dong before saying, I'm Yi Mo. I just met her not too long ago. Then, you must work harder. Xiao Lei is the beauty of our channel. The people wooing her could line up and fill an entire street. Although you're not bad, but you still need to work hard. Bai Jie already started joking with Yi Mo. Xiao Lei quickly punched Bai Jie. Bai Jie, stop it. Stop saying weird things. Let's go. Food is on me today. Yi Mo saved my life. It's not what you think. Chu Dong remembered and quickly said, Yi Mo, is he the master who saved you last time at Flowing Snake? I've been longing to see you. Even Bai Jie looked at Yi Mo differently. Obviously, his value was many folds higher now. Xiao Lei pulled them away helplessly. She regretted telling everyone about it now. After he was forced to eat with the three, Yi Mo had to leave behind his number and take down theirs before he had a chance to go. Xiao Lei was very disappointed, however. She finally managed to ask Yi Mo out, but they just ate, and it was with her coworkers. There was no development at all. No way, Xiao Lei. You really into him? Bai Jie saw the lost face Xiao Lei had after Yi Mo left and joked. Xiao Lei shook her head. She didn't really like him, but it was a feeling she couldn't describe. Compared to Yi Mo, the Wang Qianjun, who left her behind, was trash. However, she knew that no matter from which aspect, she was much worse than Ning Qingxue. And Ning Qingxue was his legal wife. If she didn't happen to meet him today, she wouldn't go look for him. Let's go. I'll tell you guys about the sky ditch. If we're successful, perhaps we can go in this afternoon. There's not only journalists from our channel, so the competition is very intense. I hope we can make the most fascinating report and beat the other channels, Xiao Lei said. When Yi Mo returned to the Shen Nongjia, it was surrounded by troops with real guns. Many machines were digging, and any obstacles were removed. By the looks of it, perhaps it would only take half a day before they neared the sky ditch. The journalists surrounded the outside tried to take photos. Yi Mo noticed that there were some masters here, but the highest one was only black level elementary stage. He could avoid them with invisibility as long as he didn't use chi. It was only a few minutes, and Yi Mo got by the machines and came to the sky ditch again. Although it was just tens of meters away from the outside open space, the sound seemed to be turned off as soon as he came here. Everything was dead silent. A bleak wind flew past Yi Mo's ear. Yi Mo immediately knew this wasn't wind, but something real. His spirit sense scanned, and there was a faint shadow in the sky ditch. A bleak wind flew past Yi Mo's ear. Yi Mo immediately knew this wasn't wind, but something real. His spirit sense scanned, and there was a faint shadow in the sky ditch. At this moment, the digging sound from outside seemed louder. Yi Mo scanned his spirit sense in the sky ditch. There was an area of about 70 meters. There was a stand, but he couldn't see what was below the stand. Although Yi Mo didn't really believe ghosts and ghouls, he wouldn't believe the words of those *T specialists. Each time there was an unexplainable phenomenon, it would be due to magnetic fields or some other *T. There were too many unexplainable things in the world, and Yi Mo, who came from the cultivation realm, knew more unexplainable things there. In Yi Mo's view, this was due to there being less spirit chi in the world. Spirit chi could make everything grow and become intelligent. Without spirit chi, the things in the world would lose its special attributes. Although Yi Mo felt there was an evil spirit he couldn't see here, he didn't mind. His spirit sense could feel it. Plus, this evil spirit had a natural fear towards him. Yi Mo jumped down the sky ditch and landed on the stand. He immediately saw a camera and threw a fireball without hesitation, burning the camera to ashes. He jumped from the stand and landed on the ground. As soon as he did, he saw numerous bodies. They died not long ago. This place was indeed strange. He scanned out his spirit sense. This place wasn't like what Xiao Lei said. An ancient tomb. It was a dried-up riverbed. There were stones and sand everywhere. There were also some ancient bones and rotten plants. Yi Mo cared about the cauldron the most. He found the cauldron very soon at another stand. It was left there alone. Yi Mo came to this stand, and just when he wanted to pick it up, he felt an animosity struck from beside. He immediately knew it was that evil spirit before. Even Yi Mo didn't know what it really was. If it was a ghost, why did it have a shadow? If it was an animal, why could it only be seen by spirit sense? Yi Mo's main purpose here was the cauldron, but now that he was attacked by the spirit, he was furious. Plus, this thing scared Ning Qingxue before. Perhaps the numerous corpses here were related to it. Killing intent rose as he immediately surrounded the shadow with his chi and threw multiple fireballs at it. It seemed that the evil spirit could only scare people and disappear. When it met a real cultivator like Yi Mo, it couldn't resist at all. There was a sharp shriek, and it turned to dust. Yi Mo was disappointed. It was that easy. He didn't even try. And this thing was gone. No wonder a charm he made at stage 1 chi gathering could stop it. This thing could only stay in the sky ditch. If it left, even an ancient martial artist could kill it by sensing chi. But even though Yi Mo killed it, he still didn't know what it was. At least, Yi Mo knew there was no cultivators here. Yi Mo didn't pay any more attention to it. He picked up that cauldron, but soon he was disappointed. This cauldron was just a model. In other words, it was just something carved out of stone, placed here like a sign. Yemo shook his head and put it back down. He followed the riverbed and walked down another 100 meters. Then a huge stone door a few meters wide appeared. Was this really a tomb? It was obviously a dried-up riverbed, though. He pushed the door, but there was no movement. This door wasn't something he could move with his current power. Yemo pulled out that long sword from his ring and sliced 4 times towards the middle. The stone door was cut open like tofu. Yemo scanned his spirit sense in, but the inside was filled with rotten air. There was no danger. Yemo walked in, and there were rows of rotten wooden shelves. There were lots of ceramic vases, wooden vases, and even jade vases. With the wind Yemo brought in, the rotten shelves all crumbled. Yemo brushed away the dust and started to look around carefully. The first to appear in his eyes was a middle-sized cauldron. Yemo checked it and discovered that it was not a model but a real cauldron. It had a dragon head on each side, with an opening at the waist and a lid. It was a well-equipped cauldron. It was the exact same as the model. Yemo rejoiced and picked it up. It was a good cauldron indeed, and it concocted quite a lot of pills. Even after so many years, he could still smell a faint herbal smell. This was a good thing, but Yemo could tell that it didn't come from the cultivation realm. Even he didn't know what material it was made from, but it was definitely top material. The craftsmanship was also top-notch, but it didn't have formation markings on it. Obviously, it wasn't used in the cultivation realm, but Yemo had the feeling this cauldron wasn't so simple. Yemo gathered the situation and made a guess. A long time ago, this place might be a hidden sect that concocted pills. In front of the sect was a river, but something happened, and the river dried up. This sect was also buried underground. Pity, he only got a cauldron. Yemo washed the cauldron clean, which showed an ancient model. Then, Yemo found the words Shen-nong at the bottom. Was this the cauldron used by the ancestor of Chinese's Shen-nong? If that's the case, then this cauldron was worth a fortune. Luckily, he came here first. With the cauldron, he could do many things. As long as he had enough herbs, he could concoct pills. This way, he would cultivate much faster. Yemo looked around the herbs that turned to dust around him and felt heartache. It was such a pity. He looked around carefully, but there really was nothing here. Yemo was satisfied he got a cauldron here and was prepared to leave. But at this moment, he turned around and saw that a stone person had appeared at the door. Yemo frowned. Did he not see it before? Also, he didn't take care when he went in. He didn't seem to remember seeing this stone person. This stone person seemed to have appeared after he took the cauldron. Indeed, this was quite eerie. Even so, Yemo didn't care. He already destroyed an evil spirit just then, so he wouldn't care about a mere stone person. Yemo walked over and scanned with his spirit sense. This stone person didn't have anything peculiar, and below it seemed to be an incense pot. Yemo walked in front of it and carefully moved the stone person away. However, as soon as Yemo moved the stone person, he felt the ground shake. Not good. If Yemo still didn't know this stone person was a trap switch by now, he would be too dumb. As soon as the thought appeared, Yemo heard a large rumble from outside. Yemo scanned his spirit sense. The sky ditch collapsed again, and it was still reaching in. Yemo immediately understood that if he didn't get out in time, he would be buried alive. Even though he was stage 3 chi gathering, it would be very hard to climb out of the earth after being buried 1 to 200 meters underground. This place wasn't the desert. It was full of mud and rocks instead. However, Yemo didn't worry. Even if he was buried, it would just be hard getting out, but it didn't mean he couldn't. Waves of mud fell. He knew it wasn't plausible to leave through the stone door, since it was probably filled up already. Yemo turned and ran inside. There were rotten wooden shelves and herbs everywhere. This made him think about the place he saw in the desert. There were many purple heart vines, but they all turned to dust. Yemo originally wanted to run to the end and open up a way with the long sword. But then he realized that if this place was a place to concoct pills, there couldn't only be one exit. But just when he reached the end, large packs of mud fell before he could pull out the long sword. Yemo knew it was too late. Now wasn't the time to regret. He immediately formed a barrier with his spirit chi to avoid being smashed by rocks. The collapse came and left quick. Just when Yemo couldn't hold it anymore, the collapse had stopped. Yemo knew he was completely buried underground. Although Yemo was buried underground, he didn't feel worried at all. He was scared of being buried because it would be too dirty to be covered in mud. But now that he was buried, he could still go out. It was just a bit troublesome, but 100 meters underground wasn't enough to take his life. Although Yemo was buried underground, he didn't feel worried at all. He was scared of being buried because it would be too dirty to be covered in mud. But now that he was buried, he could still go out. It was just a bit troublesome, but 100 meters underground wasn't enough to take his life. Yemo pulled out the long sword and started digging at the stone wall. He decided to dig forward. If there was no way out, he would start digging up because after 10 meters there would be no place to place the rubbles. Yemo felt lucky. He only dug less than 10 meters, and he eventually cut through. Fresh air came in, and Yemo crawled out. It was in the middle of a cliff. He sighed. Although he was very dirty, he didn't have to get through 100 meters of dirt. Just when Yemo was prepared to leave, he heard voices from the top of the cliff. Yu Lian, I'll say it again. Even if you chase me to the ends of the earth, I didn't take anything, and I didn't kill Bien P. The voice was a very pleasant female voice. Hearing this, Yemo wanted to extend his spirit sense out, but he immediately took it back. Yemo knew how strong Bien P was. Since this person was suspected of killing Bien P, it meant that she was at least on par with him, and the person who could reproach the woman about it obviously wasn't weak either. If he extended out his spirit sense now, it would suicide. Jing Shidao friend, let's not talk bullsh, *T. You're not the only one who came to search for the red leaf pumpkin fruit, but it seems you're the only one alive. I saw you kill the Baldy Li gang. Are you going to deny that? Killing Bien P is forming enmity with Dien Song, and Bien Po's brother Bien Chao is expected to reach Earth level soon. Do you think he would let you go if words get out? Even your serenity would be in danger. The man called you Lian talked very slowly, not showing the slightest worry at all. Yemo had guessed who the woman was. She was the nun who fought with the Baldy at the top of the cliff before. He just didn't expect the Baldy to be killed by her. From Yemo's perspective, the Baldy's sword was stronger than the nun, so he wondered how the nun killed him. It seemed this nun wasn't simple, and she was a ruthless woman. If he fought her, he needed to be careful. However, Jing, she said, believe it or not, although I killed Li Gang, I didn't kill Bien Pe, and I didn't get the red leaf pumpkin fruit. If you still won't believe me, I'm not afraid of you either. Yu Lian sneered. I'm doing business with you genuinely, but you're like this. Jingshi, you have two choice. One is take out 3 red leaf pumpkin fruit and sleep with me once. Second is that I go to Dien Song and say you killed Bien Pe. Don't forget that although serenity is not bad compared to Dien Song, it is nothing. Shameless, Jingshi immediately reproached with fury. Yemo suddenly thought, serenity, wasn't that Luo Susu's sect? He didn't expect this Jing, she to be, from serenity, from the same sect as Luo Susu. He wondered who she was to Luo Susu. If they fought later, should he save her? Ha. Lian Yu laughed, but he stopped immediately. Jing 11, compared to your shamelessness, I'm so much more inferior than you. You caused your Jie Jing Xian's death for a man. I'm right, aren't I? After you harmed your Shurjia, you captured that man, and F asterisk ked other men in front of him to get revenge. Then you killed all of them, including the man you loved. Tell me, am I up to your standard in terms of shamelessness? The woman just said that and nothing else. Yu Lian wasn't in a hurry. He was just waiting for this Jing Shi's reply. After a while, Jing Shi said slowly, since you don't mind me, I'll agree, but I hope you will keep your promise. Then, Yi Mo heard the rustling noise of clothes taken off. Wait. Yu Lian's voice stopped Jing Shi from continuing to take off her clothes. Jing Shi's voice grew soft. Since I'm already in your hands and I agreed to your demands, what else do you want? It's a bit strange. Things seem to be different from what I heard. Although I'm sure you killed the man you loved, and you F asterisk ked other men was true too. How can you still be a virgin? Yu Lian's voice was full of vigilance. Before Jing Shi replied, he sneered. I've lost interest in you. You just need to take out 3 red leaf pumpkin fruits, and our deal is over. After that, you go your way, I go mine. I've F asterisk ked countless women, and I can tell who is a virgin or not. Don't play tricks with me. Originally, Yi Mo was thinking if he should help Jing Shi later, but after hearing their conversation, Yi Mo had completely lost that thought. It seemed both of them weren't good people. Why was Susu in such a chaotic sect? B asterisk, teach, you dare to sneak on me? Yu Lian's rageful voice sounded. Then, Yi Mo heard fighting noise. From the sound, Yi Mo could tell Yu Lian used a sword and wasn't any bit inferior than Jing Shi. Yi Mo had to hand it to Jing Shi. Although he didn't know how she killed the triangle-eyed Baldy, she could still fight on par with Yu Lian after killing an Earth-level master. It could be seen how tenacious she was. He didn't dare to reach out his spirit sense, nor did he dare to climb up and watch, so he sat down. He would leave after the 2 was done. The clash of weapons were getting more frequent, then less frequent, until it eventually stopped. Yi Mo waited another hour before extending his spirit sense up. The woman was gone, and only the body of Yu Lian remained. Yi Mo climbed up the cliff. Yu Lian's throat was shattered by the horsetail whisk. Yi Mo searched his body and found a small jade plate. It wrote, 37. Yi Mo took the plate and burned Yu Lian to ashes. Just when he was prepared to leave, he noticed a bloodied bush on the way down. It seemed Jing Shi left from here. This meant that she was quite heavily wounded. Thinking that Jing Shi came from the same place as Luo Susu, Yi Mo followed quietly despite worrying about her strength. Although there were less blood on the road, Yi Mo could still find Jing Shi's path with his spirit sense. 2 hours later, Yi Mo saw a fainted nun on the ground beside a stream. She was unconscious. It seemed she was too heavily injured. If she didn't faint, he could keep following her, but now Yi Mo was helpless. Yi Mo didn't know if he should save her. If he did, this woman who harmed her Shurjia was obviously not a good person. Plus, Yi Mo didn't believe that Yu Lian would lie when there was only them 2. If he didn't save her, Yi Mo still needed her to bring him into serenity. Just when Yi Mo squatted, his spirit sense noticed Jing Shi's eyelids move. He immediately took back his spirit sense. He knew she was about to wake up. Yi Mo quickly walked up in front of her and said in surprise, why is there a nun here? Did she also encounter a wild beast like me? Is she dead? Then Yi Mo was going to help her up, but at this moment Jing Shi opened her eyes and quickly said, thank you. I can move. Can you help me get some water? I'm very thirsty. You're okay. That's good. I'm lost and was chased by a wild beast. I don't have any bottles on me. Yi Mo helplessly said. Don't worry. Just scoop some with your hand. Then Jing Shi's face grew very pale after this. It was obvious she had lost a lot of blood. Yi Mo scooped a few handfuls of water for her to drink. Then Jing Shi took out a bottle from her clothes and wanted to rub some medicine on her wounds, but her hand shook for a long time and wasn't able to do it. Do you want me to help? Although Yi Emo really didn't want to help, he would be suspected by the nun if he didn't say that now. MHM, thank you so much. Help me tip the powder onto my wounds. She just spoke a few sentences and was already coughing heavily. Obviously, she was very heavily injured and lost a lot of blood. Yi Emo walked over and carried her on top of a big rock. Then he opened the bottle open. This Jing, she looked like she was 30 at most, but Yi Emo felt she was much older than 30. But still, she felt very soft in his hands. Yi Emo actually thought of Ning Qingxue. Ning Qingxue, as body was much more comfortable to carry than hers. There were quite a lot of wounds on her, but there were two that was the most serious. One was under her left breast, and another at her waist. Although Yi Emo was helping Jing Shi with the medicine, he didn't notice her chest. He had all his attention on Jing Shi's movements. This woman was a ruthless woman, so he needed to be wary if she were to suddenly strike. When Yi Emo opened up the clothes at her waist, he wasn't surprised by the nun's smooth white skin, but that she had a very sexy and attractive band that covered her belly and chest. There was actually this sort of nun. There were 2 lotus flowers embroidered on it with the words, "My heart is the same as your masculine. Heart, never betray the feelings." Yi Emo was laughing to himself. It seemed this nun was quite an affectionate nun. But if this nun really killed the man she loved, just as Yu Lian said, then she was too scary. There were 2 lotus flowers embroidered on it with the words, "My heart is the same as your masculine. Heart, never betray the feelings." Yi Emo was laughing to himself. It seemed this nun was quite an affectionate nun. But if this nun really killed the man she loved, just as Yu Lian said, then she was too scary. Yi Emo suddenly realized that he saw her band, and although it was just for a little while, he was worried that she noticed. Thinking about this, he carefully let out his spirit sense. He knew that this nun was heavily injured and didn't have the acute sense of when she was fighting. It would be hard for her to notice his spirit sense. Even so, Yi Emo was still very careful. He observed a while, and this nun didn't seem to notice. It was just that her face was a little pale, and eyes were sunken. Yi Emo was slightly relieved. The nun's wound was near the band. Regardless, Yi Emo was prepared to rub the medicine there. The moment he lifted up the nun's band, he noticed a blink of killing intent flash across the nun's eyes. Yi Emo sneered. She was a ruthless one indeed. He was treating her wounds, but she wanted to kill him. He needed to be more careful later. Yi Emo's finger moved, and a small grass from his ring fell into his hand. He lowered his head to block the nun's vision and took out the juice of the grass and added it into the nun's medicine before applying it to her wounds. Finally done, Yi Emo gasped a sigh of relief and looked up. This number actually blushed a little and said in a quiet voice, "Thank you. If it wasn't for you, I will be dead for sure." Obviously, she was very shy when talking. It meant that she had her private areas seen and had the embarrassment of a woman. Yi Emo had goosebumps all over his body. This nun was so much older than him, but she still acted young. Yi Emo looked and shivered. Such a scary woman. Her acts were so natural. If Yi Emo didn't see the killing intent in her eyes before, perhaps he would even believe her. At this moment, he thought about Nie Shuangshuang. Both women had the natural talent in acting, but Nie Shuangshuang was far from this nun. Seeing Yi Emo looking at her dazed, the nun thought this young man was shocked by her looks. More killing intent surged in her heart. He looked at her skin. Did he still want to live? And he had such lustful gazes. However, her face blushed more with embarrassment. She still needed him now. "I haven't asked for your name yet. You saved me life. Jing," she stuttered, as though she really didn't have a way to pay Yi Emo back for saving her life. Yi Emo waved his hand and took back his gaze. "It's my honor to save a beautiful woman like you." You don't need to pay me back. I'm called Dahu. I wonder what your name is. Yi Mo thought of Hu at Luotsang and just came up with the name Dahu. MHM. Thank you, Dahu. I'm called Jingzier. I was wanting to collect some herbs here, but I met some bad people. I was stabbed by them. Luckily, I had some martial arts and I barely escaped here, Jingshi said shyly. Yi Mo thought of her contemptuously. She wasn't too dumb, copying my excuse of being chased by wild beasts. However, his face immediately showed shock. This means you know martial arts? I heard that there are many masters hidden in places, Sister Zier. Are you a master hidden from the normal world too? Yi Mo thought, since you want to act young and naive, I will let you act that way. Whatever Jing, she said, he would act with it. As expected, Jingshi acted embarrassed again, making people feel as though she hadn't talked with a man for a long time. Each time she spoke, it was as though she couldn't control her embarrassment. She looked down and said, I'm no master. I've just learned a few moves from my master. My master is a real master. Haha, she wanted him to ask her to study martial arts. Yi Mo rejoiced and nervously asked, Sister Zier, does your sect take male disciples? I've had a fervor towards martial arts since I was young. Hearing Yi Mo's words, there was a look of realization in Jingshi's eyes, but she said, I can go ask for you, but if your talent isn't good enough, there's nothing I can do. Worst comes to worst, when I get better, I can teach you a few moves in secret. How about this? Where do you live? I'll send you back. It's too dangerous here. Then Yi Mo looked nervously at her. He was really nervous this time because if this nun agreed, he would know where Luo Susu is. Jingshi frowned and sneered. He took the bait. But soon she looked up with embarrassment. Our temple is at Wuliang Mountain. It's just a bit far. I think it might be troublesome for you. It's actually at Wuliang Mountain. Yi Mo was quite surprised. Although he knew there were hidden sects there, he didn't expect Serenity to be there too. This nun could really run. She came all the way from Wuliang Mountain to Shinnongjia. He was dazed for a moment and replied, It's not a trouble. I like going around everywhere. I was planning to go Wuliang Mountain anyways. Now that I met you, we can go together. Yi Mo sneered. She talked so much just so he could send her back. The two were thinking of the same thing, and so they reached accordance very soon. They were both women, and very pretty ones too, but when Yi Mo carried Ning Qingxue, his heart was filled with ripples. As for when he carried this nun, he was full of uneasiness. His spirit sense was watching the nun's every move, fearing that she would kill him at any time. If it wasn't for Luo Susu, he would never carry such a bomb on him. He must say that Jingshi was countless times more familiar with Shinnongjia than him. Under her guidance, he only took 2 hours to walk out from there. Seeing that Yi Mo only breathed heavy a little, Jingshi refreshed her opinion of this young man. His endurance was so good. He had been carrying her for a few hours and only seemed a little tired. She didn't know that Yi Mo wasn't a little tired. In fact, he wasn't tired at all. What Jingshi more curious was that this Dahu seemed lustful when he was treating her, but now, even though he had been carrying her for more than 2 hours, he didn't even try to take advantage of her at all. This made her feel quite strange. Yi Mo didn't know he almost exposed himself due to this. He carefully asked, Sister, how do we get to Wuliang Mountain? Do we take train or plane? No need. I will drive here. Jingshi pointed to a parking lot outside the Shinnongjia. Yi Mo didn't expect this nun drove herself out. He saw it was an Audi cross-country vehicle with a military plate. This nun really was something. The nun also didn't expect that Yi Mo's car skills were so good. When Yi Mo just started driving, she could tell Yi Mo was a newbie and wasn't very familiar with driving, but after driving 200 kilometers, he was familiar with the car and increased the speed. Eventually, the car reached 256 kilometers per hour and was still rising. Yi Mo wanted to get there as soon as possible in case this nun recovered on the way and fought him. However, Jing, she stared at Emo and thought, was this young man really a tourist? She was confident in her looks, and after being so intimate with him for so long, he actually didn't do anything or flirt with her. This wasn't the main thing. When he first started driving, his skills weren't good, but now he was getting better and faster. There were smart people, but she had never seen someone who could learn this fast. And there was something else. This young man was looking around while driving. Obviously, his attention wasn't on the speeding car. Was he faking it? But what good was this to him? Jing, she looked at Emo and felt more wary. Emo thought of Luo Susu. He didn't notice his actions had aroused Jing Shi's suspicion. It was his first time driving, but he got used to it soon. He learned this from Wendong. Seeing that Emo was still looking around while the car was getting faster and faster, Jing, she couldn't hold it. If they crashed, it would be hard for her to live even if she wasn't injured, much less when she was heavily injured. Dahu, drive slower. You're driving too fast. I'm feeling a little dizzy, Jing, she said. Oh. Emo heard her words and had a fright. He woke up from his memories of Luo Susu. He had been using his spirit sense to check the road, but now he realized that was problematic. He was driving too fast, and that must have gotten Jing Shi suspicious. He drove fast because he subconsciously wanted to go see Luo Susu faster. Just when Yemo's car slowed down, a Porsche chased up to him. It lined up with Yemo's car. The window opened, and a youth in his 20s said to Yemo, "Bro, your driving skills are not bad. How about we have a race? I actually couldn't catch up to you before." Just when Yemo's car slowed down, a Porsche chased up to him. It lined up with Yemo's car. The window opened, and a youth in his 20s said to Yemo, "Bro, your driving skills are not bad. How about we have a race? I actually couldn't catch up to you before." Yemo also rolled down the window and looked at the youth. He smiled and didn't answer. At this moment, he revved up the engine and turned to the nun apologetically. "Sorry, Sister's Ear, I've loved driving before, and I often go into competitions. Due to some accident, the family didn't let me drive anymore. It's been 5 or 6 years since I last drove. Now, when I drive, it was a little unfamiliar to me. I'll shake away this kid so he doesn't annoy us." Then he showed an innocent smile. Although Yemo didn't know if this would remove her suspicion, he still had to do it. Then, seeing how Yemo increased the speed again, Jing Shi frowned. Was this kid really a racer who hadn't driven for a long time? However, his car skills were really good. If he was a racer, that could be true. After all, he hasn't drove for 5 years, so it was natural if he was a bit rusty. Plus, looking at how competitive he was, he didn't seem like someone very smart. Yemo's speed flew up again. Soon, he left behind the Porsche, and it was getting farther and farther until it couldn't been seen. He looked back at the Porsche before slowing down again. The Porsche stopped, and a youth in his 20s came out. He patted the car hood and took a deep breath while looking at the Audi that disappeared. He talked to himself. This guy really is a maniac. I suspect he's a professional racer. Beijing Song family. Song Qiming and Dongfang Shi were talking when Song Hai suddenly ran in. "What is it?" Song Qiming understood Song Hai's personality. He was usually very calm, but he seemed very desperate today, meaning there was something important. "Leader, I just got news. Nie Shuang left Beijing 2 hours ago. We don't know where she's going, and the leave she applied at school is 1 month." Song Hai looked at Dongfang Shi. This plan was thought up by Dongfang Shi, but now the main person had left. This meant that the plan was pretty much useless. Afterwards, not just Song Qiming, but even Dongfang Shi frowned. Nie Shuang's leave was too coincidental. She didn't leave earlier nor later, but she had to leave when his plan was set. Song Qiming quickly reacted and worriedly looked at Dongfang Shi. "Mr. Dongfang, what do you think we should do now? Should we stop her?" Dongfang Shi thought for a while and said, "Nie Shuang is gone. Trying to find her is like finding a needle in the desert. but I still have a few substitutes. Let me think. Song Hai and Song Chiming didn't dare to disturb Dongfang Shi. They just sat by the side and waited. After a while, Dongfang Shi slowly said, "In that case, I won't be polite. I heard Song family leader has an illegitimate daughter called Tang Beiwei, but now she's living quite impoverished. However, her looks shouldn't be worse than Nie Shuangshuang. Song family leader, I believe you know about this. If she could replace Nie Shuangshuang." No. Song Chiming's face immediately went pale. That was his illegitimate daughter, 21 years ago. He only heard about them 2 years ago, but in order to protect the mother and the daughter, as well as his position, he had never contacted them, nor given them financial support. Song Chiming didn't know how Dongfang Shi knew about this. Originally, Song Qiuming planned to bring the two to Beijing after his position stabilized, but he didn't expect Dongfang Shi to know about this. Although it was very normal for this to happen in big families, Song Chiming raped the girl 20 or so years ago and made the mother-daughter fend for themselves for 20 or so years. If his political enemies knew about this, it would be a lethal blow to him. Other than him, he didn't tell anyone. He did the investigations himself as well, but Dongfang Shi even knew about this. In that case, there's nothing I can say, but I need to remind you that if you don't attack, perhaps you won't have much time. I'm leaving. Goodbye. Then Dongfang Shi stood up and was about to go out. "Mr. Dongfang, please hold up." Song Chiming's face was pale. Then he tiredly said, "Mr. Dongfang, I've already wronged them for 20 or so years. If I'm still going to use them now, what difference am I to an animal? Mr. Dongfang, can you change it to someone else?" Dongfang Shi wasn't really going to go. He sat down again and coldly said, "There's less than 1 month until the auction. You should know why I chose those two. Nie Shuangshuang is a natural actor and very alluring. Meanwhile, Tang Beiwei got acting awards in high school. It could be seen she has talent in acting. If that's the case, I'll find someone in the acting academy for you." Song Chiming's eyes were hopeful. Dongfang Shi shook his head. "I've investigated the few major acting academies. There are no one who can match Nie Shuangshuang and Ning Qingxue in beauty. And those women are too pretentious. They're not the type Yemo likes. That isn't the main point. The main thing is Tang Beiwei would work for you with her life, but other girls would just think of it as an act." Song Chiming shook his head. "If Tang Beiwei knew I was her father, she would hate me the most. How can she work for me with her life?" Dongfang Shi laughed and drank the tea before saying, "What if it's because of her mother?" Song Chiming's face changed drastically. "What's wrong with Tang Jin?" Dongfang Shi sneered. Song Chiming was a cold-hearted person, but this sort of person suited him, his need, perfectly. Song Chiming looks very worried, but in his heart, since when did he care about them? However, he slowly said, "Tang Beiwei's mother is living in the hospital due to a heavy illness half a year ago. Now, the family is piled with debt. Although Tang Beiwei is working 3 jobs, she still can't pay for the heavy medical fees. If the Song family tells Tang Beiwei that they could solve these problems for her, as long as she agreed to help, I believe she will agree 100%. Dongfang, she would have never thought that after Nie Shuangshuang left, and he found a substitute, his plan had no flaws anymore. Seeing Song Chiming being indecisive, Dongfang, she seemed very at ease. He wasn't worried at all that Song Chiming wouldn't agree. He would agree to his current wife and daughter, much less his illegitimate daughter. He understood Song Chiming very well. If there had to be a hole in the plan, it would be Yemo. He had never seen Yemo, so all of the info about Yemo was based on other people's research. Tan-du was a place famous for its beauty. Many rich people liked to settle here, but a few months ago, there was a big explosion here. Not only did it blow up the most luxurious mansion, but it also killed everyone inside. From then, the rich people started to move away. They felt Tan-du was a dangerous place. This time, it was the richest, Perhaps next time would be the second richest, the third. Yi Mo and Wendong didn't know that their explosion created such an effect. In the second hospital of Tandu, an extremely skinny woman laid on the patient bed. She looked at the ceiling with dumbed eyes. The medicine bottle was empty, but no nurse came to change it. A disheveled girl held a warm bottle and walked in very quickly. She saw the bottle of saline solution was empty, so she quickly went to call the nurse. The nurse wasted some time before finally taking a saline solution in, but didn't switch to serum. Just when the girl wanted to say something, she was pulled by the woman on the bed. Seeing the girl come over, the woman sighed. Xiao Wei, let's go back. I don't want to stay here. There are some things I need to tell you when we go back. No, Mum. Don't worry. I will save up enough for the bills. You will get better, the girl said affirmatively. The woman shook her head, took out a bracelet from underneath the pillow, and gave it to the girl. Keep this. It should be left behind by your family. Don't lose it. It's a pair. When you find the other pair, they would be your family. Mum, I have no family other than you. The girl held her mom's hands tightly while sobbing. Sigh. The woman on the bed sighed. After a while, she said, I'm afraid I won't be able to hold on someday. There are some things I need to tell you. The woman waved her head powerlessly and slowly said, 21 years ago, I went to Beijing myself. I was a few months pregnant back then, and I tried to find the man who ditched me. He knew I was pregnant, but just left me some living fees and ignored me. I stayed in Beijing a while and finally knew he was the elder son of a big family and had a wife. His son was already over 10. I was really sad and angry at the same time, and that caused me to fall ill. The woman waved her head powerlessly and slowly said, 21 years ago, I went to Beijing myself. I was a few months pregnant back then, and I tried to find the man who ditched me. He knew I was pregnant, but just left me some living fees and ignored me. I stayed in Beijing a while and finally knew he was the elder son of a big family and had a wife. His son was already over 10. I was really sad and angry at the same time, and that caused me to fall ill. Mum. The girl grabbed the woman's hands and worriedly called out. The woman on the bed had melancholic eyes as she continued, At that time, I lived in a temple. The head monk was very nice, and he got doctors to save me. But I lost the child in my stomach. Hearing this, the girl was more anxious. Her mother lost her child. Who was she then? The woman seemed to know what the girl was thinking and sadly said, At that time, I rather died than lived. Although my body recovered, but I had no desire to live. The head monk saw my desolation and tried to convince me. Later, when I was fully recovered, I wanted to become a nun. But at this moment, the head monk brought a girl that was barely 1. He said someone left her at the door of the temple. The girl seemed to have understood something. Her face was pale. Was it not her mother in front of her? Sigh, Beiwei, you are not my biological daughter. I don't know who your parents are either. At that time, the head monk just brought a jade bracelet and said 2 children were brought to the temple, but I don't know where the head monk sent the other. I was troubled at heart then and didn't ask. I heard the child was taken away by a young couple that came to burn incense. Mum. The girl's eyes were red and swollen as she grabbed the woman's hand and said, Mum, no matter what, you are my mother. You are my only kin in this world. The woman caressed the girl's hand amiably and said, Beiwei, I might not live for long. Remember, that temple is called Luo Hong Temple. The head monk is called Wushan. When you go to Beijing, you need to go look. Then, when the woman was about to fall asleep, the girl quickly positioned the woman well and stood up. She didn't care about her birth. She just wanted to gather money to treat her mother. May I ask, are you Ten Beiwei? A middle-aged man walked into the room and asked. Tang Beiwei looked up with confusion at the man and nodded. Yes, what's the matter? The middle-aged man showed an amicable smile and said, I have some things to discuss with you privately. Do you have the time? Tang Beiwei frowned. She had never seen this person before, but she didn't mind talking to him privately since she had nothing at hand. It was 3 p.m, and Yi Mo's car had arrived at a private mansion near Wuliang Mountain. What Yi Mo didn't expect was that this was the nest of Jing Shi. Despite Jing, she saying this was her relative's place, Yi Mo didn't believe it at all. This woman thought of him as an idiot. Since he came, he would keep notice of Jing Shi all the time, even when she showered. This wasn't the time to be a gentleman. He knew that this Jing Shi might be suspicious of him a little. Regardless, he couldn't relax. He must say that although she wasn't young, she still kept her looks as though she was a girl in her 20s. When she took off her clothes, her curves were very distinct, and her skin was milky white. The 2 big boobs on her chest didn't sag down at all. It was strangely tall standing. Yi Mo carried this woman before and knew how smooth and elastic her skin was. Sometimes, Yi Mo even doubted himself, thinking perhaps Jing Shi was only 20. And he saw that most of her wounds had formed scabs, meaning her powder was quite potent. She was very precise when taking a shower, rubbing herself carefully, and even looking at herself in the mirror. Yi Mo thought that this woman really loved beauty, but she was beautiful indeed. Looking at a naked woman showering with his spirit sense, even though he knew she was quite old and ruthless, he couldn't help but feel a little aroused. Just when Yi Mo thought nothing would happen and was about to take back his spirit sense, the nun started to feel her waist. It was the place Yi Mo tipped the powder. Yi Mo immediately began to worry. Was she that smart? Did she notice he did something there? Jing Shi put her finger on it, felt it, and then smelt her finger. Yi Mo saw her frown, and his heart started to beat faster, thinking this nun was so astute. However, he felt slightly relieved. She eventually didn't do anything out of the ordinary. She also took off her hand and felt it before carefully putting it aside. She seemed to treasure that band a lot. Suddenly, Jing Shi stopped all her movements and looked alert everywhere. Yi Mo was sure that she was sensitive to his spirit sense again, so he quickly took it back. Who are you there? Yi Mo heard the nun call out in the living room. He knew the nun didn't feel safe about him and wanted to confirm where he was. He answered without hesitation. Then he finally felt relieved. Luckily, she didn't feel his spirit sense, or he would have been exposed. Soon, she finished her shower and saw Yi Mo was still at the living room. She embarrassingly said, I was a little afraid by myself, so I called out to you. Yi Mo smiled naively and said, Don't worry, I'm going to sleep first. However, he was more careful. This nun was too alert. He was worried she would try something with him tomorrow. It would be best he left a mark on her tonight. And when he helped her rub on the powder, the killing intent in her eyes were raw. This meant that in her eyes, people's lives were no different than grass. Yi Mo cultivated for half the night and woke up very early and made breakfast. Then he waited for Jing Shi. Jing Shi woke up and saw the congee and small dishes were very exquisitely made. She approved of Yi Mo's diligence and organization. This youth was not bad. She even didn't want to kill him. However, those who saw her skin must die, no matter what. Seeing how he's so nice, she would let him die easier. Sister Zier, I cooked some congee. You haven't recovered yet. Eat some. Yi Mo took a bowl and chopsticks for Jing Shi. Its taste not bad. Thank you. Who? Jing. She felt that this congee was good indeed. Yi Mo naively smiled and said, It's nothing, as long as you like it. I can cook more for you. Jing, she suddenly felt dazed. Why did these words sound so familiar? Many years ago, that man also said that, Sister Zier. As long as you like it, I can stay with you every day. But then after he saw her Jia, he gradually distanced himself from her and slept with her Jia. This be asterisk TCH couple. So, what if she harmed her Shurjia? That man still looked at the place her Shurjia went into solitary training every day. Jingxi's face gradually grew bleak. Yi Mo didn't expect his words to make the nun's face so bleak. He thought to himself that this woman was really unpredictable. Yi Mo was scared that she was suddenly going to attack, and his plan would be spoiled. So he quickly said, Sister Zier, hurry and eat, it's getting cold. I don't want to eat it. Dahu, wait here for me today. I'll go back and tell my master. If my master is willing, I'll come back and pick you up. Jingxi stood up and said. Yi Mo's heart sunk. This woman didn't take him, as he expected. She really was bad. Cross the river and take apart the bridge. He stood up worriedly and said, Sister Zier, but I also want to see. Jingxi smiled sweetly and pointed at his head with her finger. Dahu, would I lie to you? Trust me, I'll come pick you up at night, and let my master see you once at least. Yi Mo knew it was no point talking anymore, and just tried to make a mark on her, and follow. Thinking about this, he walked, hopefully with a blushed face. Sister Zier, you're really pretty, I want to hug you. Huh? Jing, she was shocked by Yi Mo's request. The honest, who in her eyes dared to make such a request? She suddenly remembered when she took a shower last night and felt someone was peeking. Was it him? But she could tell he hadn't practiced ancient martial arts before. If he was peeking, how could she not know? But what if it was him peeking? Thinking about this, she looked at the hopeful Yi Mo and realized he was a very handsome man. The features on his face were distinct, and his eyes were very clean. Looking at Yi Mo, she felt a sense of familiarity. That time, he also looked at her hopefully like this, saying, Sister Zier, you're really pretty, I want to hug you. Is it him? She had this sense of fire in her heart. Ever since that man appeared, she had never felt like this before. Yi Mo saw that she looked at him dazed. He thought not good, he couldn't wait for her to reject. If she did, it would be impossible for him to hug her and make the mark. Yi Mo decisively walked up and hugged she who was already a little blushed on the face. She's heart was already racing, and Yi Mo just suddenly hugged her like this. Just when she wanted to rage, she felt that masculine scent of yang, and her body softened. Yesterday, when Yi Mo carried her for 2 hours, there was only killing intent in her heart, but now she actually felt a little lustful. She's heart was already racing, and Yi Mo just suddenly hugged her like this. Just when she wanted to rage, she felt that masculine scent of yang, and her body softened. Yesterday, when Yi Mo carried her for 2 hours, there was only killing intent in her heart, but now she actually felt a little lustful. Yi Mo immediately felt she's heart starting to feel hot and soft. He didn't think of anything else and quickly made a spirit sense mark on her clothes. It was very fast, and he was done. Then he felt relieved and let go of his hand, but noticed that she had closed her arms around his waist. Her eyes seemed strange. Was this woman aroused? Yi Mo felt shocked, and just when he wanted to talk, he saw Shi with misty eyes and breathing heavily say, Brother Chia, carry me into the room. She was aroused indeed, and thought of him as her brother Chi. Yi Mo didn't want to go in bed with this woman. If he lost his virginity to this ruthless nun, he would rather do it himself. Although the nun was very enticing, and Yi Mo a bit aroused too, he once cultivated to foundation establishment. It wasn't the first time he was attracted to a woman. He could even resist Ning Qingxue, much less a nun that he didn't like. He was someone of principle. If he didn't like the person, he could still control such urges. However, Yi Mo wouldn't waste the opportunity. He reached his hand into Shi's hair and made another mark on her hair tie. Then he shook Shi. Sister Zier, are you okay? She was just looking at the man of her dreams slowly walk towards her and hug her, and saying all those lovely things in her ear. But just when she was aroused, she was woken up by Yi Mo Jing. She immediately reacted. She looked at Yi Mo for a moment, but froze really quick. She let go of her hands and felt her hair. Then her eyes were hateful again, as she stared at Yi Mo for a long while before saying, just then, "Oh, never mind, I'm going to rest. Wait for me to come back. Don't worry about my master, I won't treat you bad." Jing, she turned around, and when she walked out of the mansion, she even felt lost herself. She actually didn't get angry just then, nor did she kill Dahu. With her current recovery, it would be all too easy to kill a normal person. She shook her hand. Other than the man who betrayed her, it was the first time she showed mercy. Yu Lian said she killed that man, but only she knew she didn't. However, she did flirt with other men in front of him, but she killed them afterwards. Yi Mo followed carefully, but not daring to follow too close. She was already marked by him, so even if he didn't follow closely, he wouldn't lose her. Jing, she took out a phone and made a call. Yi Mo didn't even notice she had a phone when he carried her yesterday. This meant she took it last night. Yi Mo was too far and could barely hear the words. "Throw under the cliff." Despite not hearing her words clearly, he could guess it. This vicious woman was calling people to kill him and throw him under the cliff. Since she was calling people over, he couldn't keep following her and needed to wait for the men she called. Yi Mo came back to the mansion. He didn't wait long, and it was only an hour and a car drove here. A man in his 30s came out. He wasn't very sturdy looking, but Yi Mo could tell he was yellow-level elementary stage. "Are you Dahu?" the man asked Yi Mo. Yi Mo nodded. "Yeah." "Who are you?" The man laughed and said, "I'm Tian Pe. Zir Shur Mei told me to bring you up the mountain. Her master had agreed, but needs to check to see if you can cultivate. If you can't, then she can't do anything either." Yi Mo nodded. He knew the man came to kill him, but he also knew that he wouldn't be able to ask about anything useful from this man, so he didn't bother. Yi Mo didn't ask, and Tian Pe spoke very little. The route he took was very steep. There weren't even roads in many places. After walking for nearly 2 hours, Tian Pe brought Yi Mo to a cliff and said, "Brother, you've got quite good stamina." Yi Mo made a breathing action and smiled. "I'm okay. I used to climb mountains a lot." Then Yi Mo scanned down the cliff with his spirit sense. He estimated it to be a few hundred meters tall, and it was steep like it was cut by a knife. Yi Mo just found a small protrusion at around 50 meters, but there were no landing spaces at around 100 meters. He couldn't scan any further. There's something here?" Tian Pe walked to the cliff and curiously spoke. Yi Mo also walked up while asking, "What is it? Let me see." And he intentionally gave his back to Tian Pe, knowing that the latter was about to attack. As soon as Yi Mo walked to the cliffside, Tian Pe pushed on his back. Yi Mo screamed and fell down like a shooting star. Yi Mo calculated the position and tapped his feet at the 50-meter protrusion. Then he immediately found there was a ditch 70 meters further down. Yi Mo kept falling until he neared the ditch and used wind-controlling technique to go in. Then he quickly took out the sword and dug the stone, hiding his body. As soon as Yi Mo hid, Tian Pe said from above, "Brother, don't blame me. I'm just following orders. Too bad you liked the wrong person." Then Tian Pe picked up the phone and called, "It's done." "Oh, okay. I'll wait for you at Liangnong Cliff then." Yi Mo heard and felt joyful. It seemed that none was coming. This was good. Otherwise, after Tian Pe left, although he had spirit sense mark, it wouldn't be easy to find Jingxi. After all, the geology of Wuliang Mountain was too complicated, and he still couldn't fly yet. Yi Mo didn't wait for long. It was only an hour before he heard Jingxi's voice. Unfortunately, he was more than 100 meters down and couldn't reach up with his spirit sense. "Very good. You did well. There's a basic cultivation method here. Take it. As soon as Jing Shi finished speaking, Yi Mo heard Tianpo's gratitude. Not long after, there was the exclamation of Tianpo, Jing Shi, you actually killed me. Then the sound suddenly stopped, and Yi Mo saw a figure fall down extremely fast. After a long while, he heard the thud from the bottom of the cliff. He thought this woman was really strong, but he couldn't understand why she didn't kill him herself. Why take all the trouble? He kept notice of the footsteps. As soon as Jingxi left, he would come up and follow her, but after a long while, Yi Mo didn't hear her footsteps. He was bemused and thought to himself, did she leave? Just when Yi Mo was confused, Jingxi's voice sounded again. De Hu, although you saved me, you looked at my body. I swore that men who looked at my body will die, but I had feelings for you. Did you know, I really wanted to give myself to you that morning, but you woke up me. You really are dumb. Tianpa killed you, and I have avenged you. Rest in peace. Yi Mo was so angry, he almost spat blood. This woman was really shameless. It was she who called Tianpa to kill him now, yet she said it so modestly. What sort of revenge was this? You say I'm very pretty. Do I really look pretty? But my heart is already taken by that man. Sorry. De Hu, perhaps I'll come see you when I'm free. Jingxi's voice stopped, and it was a long silence. Yi Mo sighed. This woman was crazy. A completely mad woman. He was just worried for Luo Susu. Could she be well living with a crazy woman like this? It would be best if this mad woman had no connections with Luo Susu at all. Then, after a while, when Yi Mo was impatient, Jingxi suddenly started laughing hysterically. Sure, Jia, did you think you could avoid me after sending your daughter out and taking her back as your disciple? You never would have thought she will end up like you soon. Ha ha, your daughter is really like you, not a good thing either. She just went out once and is thinking about men and can't even calm her heart down. Sometimes I really want to see what sort of man your daughter loves. Sure, Jia. Do you know what I want to do the most? I want your daughter to see me with her man in bed. Too bad you're dead. If you didn't die, would you be very shocked seeing the man your daughter love in bed with me? Although I stayed virgin for that bastard so many years, I don't mind giving my first time to the man of your daughter. Ha! Yi Mo shook his head. This nun was really unreasonable. She lost in love but was dragging this onto the offspring of her Shijie. Now, she wouldn't even let go of her Shijie's daughter. She probably never lived outside. If she lived in the city, perhaps she would have killed herself n times due to loss of love. Yi Mo thought and felt pity for this nun. She was a woman crazed with love, but just followed the wrong man. Just when Yi Mo was getting impatient again, there was finally the sound of the nun leaving. Yi Mo immediately got up and tapped multiple times on the smooth cliff face. With the help of wind-controlling technique, he came to the top of the cliff very fast. Looking at the something, he was stunned. Yi Mo didn't expect Jing 11 to be so prepared. There was a burning basic ancient martial arts cultivation method, and a wine bottle. There was a cup next to the wine bottle, which was filled. It seemed this nun kept to her promise and really got him a cultivation method. Yi Mo didn't expect Jing 11 to be so prepared. There was a burning basic ancient martial arts cultivation method, and a wine bottle. There was a cup next to the wine bottle, which was filled. It seemed this nun kept to her promise and really got him a cultivation method. F***CK. Yi Mo had black lines down his head. If others didn't know about the full story, they would have thought he was her man and accidentally fell off the cliff, and she came to cry. Yi Mo kicked these things down the cliff, thinking, go sacrifice this to that Tianpa. After kicking these away, Yi Mo didn't dare to waste time and followed closely behind Jingxi. Although he didn't dare to follow too close, he wouldn't lose her with the spirit mark. The places she walked were all steep mountain roads. If Yi Mo didn't have wind controlling technique, or made the mark on her, he wouldn't be able to keep up. It was nearly 3 hours later, but Jingshi was still running in the mountain roads. Yemo was speechless. This serenity was really hidden deep. They had been walking for so long. It was another hour or so when Jingshi came to a cliff. It was covered in clouds. Yemo thought, did she want to suicide and jump? He jumped because he had wind-controlling technique. But even if this nun was Earth level, she would die jumping off now. Just when Yemo was still guessing, Jingshi sat down, and after half an hour, she really jumped down. Yemo had a fright. Why did this woman run here to suicide? Was this place serenity? Yemo waited for a while, and made sure he wouldn't be found before looking at the edge of the cliff. But soon he understood. There were metal chains 10 meters down, and it was covered by the clouds. When Yemo looked again, the metal chain had disappeared. What was this? He scanned down his spirit sense and felt the metal chain appear in his spirit sense again. He didn't know the end of it, but obviously its length far exceeded the range of his spirit sense. The nun left along this chain. Yemo thought of Luo Susu. Did she have to go past this chain each time she came out? She was only yellow level, so it was very dangerous for her to come out. And he couldn't see the metal chain before, and could only scan it with his spirit sense. This meant the metal chains were placed strangely, perhaps according to some formation allowing it to show sometimes under the sun. Yemo also understood now why Jingshi sat down for half an hour after coming. She was waiting for when the metal chain could be seen again. It seemed this chain could only been seen once in a while, and people could only jump when they could see it. Otherwise, if they misstepped, they would fall to death. The time the chain could be seen was definitely short. Although Yemo had spirit sense and could see the chains at any time, he still wanted to see if he was right. He also sat down for half an hour, but the metal chain still didn't appear. It seemed the time interval was more than half an hour. Since it wasn't half an hour, Yemo couldn't be bothered waiting. He didn't need to see the chains with his eyes, so he jumped. After going for more than 100 meters, he came to the opposite site. It was a small platform. Other than this platform, there was nowhere else to go. Jingshi came to this platform and disappeared. How could that be possible? Yemo looked around and was sure this was a cliff. There was nothing suspicious, and the bottom couldn't be seen. Yemo scanned with his spirit sense and soon noticed something wrong. There was a palm-sized sink 2 meters above the platform. It seemed quite strange. Yemo jumped up and felt the sink. It was smooth on the outside, but uneven on the inside. Yemo put his hand on his nose and smelt. There was a faint aroma. Yemo immediately knew who that aroma belonged to. It was Jingshi. He was still hugging her this morning and knew her scent very well. This sink was probably some sort of trigger. The sink was uneven, a bit like a keyhole. This meant that Jingshi had something that she could put in the sink and act like a key. No wonder the hidden sects were so hard to find. They were in such a distant place and had such a strange key. Normally, people definitely wouldn't be able to go in without a key, but Yemo was different. He could go in even if there was a formation here. However, if a formation really existed in this place, Yemo was unsure too, because too many formations needed spirit stones to supply power. Without it, only jade stone could be used, but jade stone could only be used to make the lowest level formations. It definitely wouldn't be able to hide sections. There weren't spirit stones on Earth. This Yemo knew. Well, at least he hadn't seen one up until now. Yemo sat on the platform and took out a blob of black metal. It was an ordinary block of iron which Yemo bought at Luotsam. He raised his hand, a gust of fire enveloped the metal. Soon, it melted into something like a black plate. Yemo looked at the sink with his spirit sense, and in less than half an hour, a metal plate appeared in his hand. If the person who set this trap up saw Yemo make a key in just half an hour, they would die of fury. After making the plate, Yemo jumped up and inserted the plate. It was perfect and fit closely in the sink without any crevice, but Yemo waited a while, and there was no reaction. Yemo thought, was there another trigger? He casually twisted the metal plate. Then he immediately noticed that on the cliff face 5 meters below, a small tunnel appeared. Yemo called himself an idiot. A key needed to be turned. He quickly took the metal plate and jumped over. It was a stone tunnel inside the cliff, and after walking for about 50 meters, the view opened up as he came out. There was a twisted valley road that extended in. Yemo walked a while, and the grass and trees started appearing. There were even a few bunnies running across occasionally. Yemo sighed. Although this wasn't a small world like Daoisien said, it was definitely well hidden. The ancestor of Serenity, who moved the sect here, was a genius. If only he had a place like this now. Yemo walked along the road for about an hour or so and came to the foot of a mountain. The region broadened up, and he could still barely see the sky. There were many farmlands excavated out with vegetables planted in them. He walked along the mountain for a few hundred meters, and a large pact of buildings appeared. The big front door had the huge word, serene. It seemed very ancient and calm. Yemo stopped walking. So this was Serenity. The environment seemed not bad, and it had the feeling of a paradise immortals lived in. What should he do next? Immediately go look for her, or make a plan first? Any nun who came out from Serenity liked Jing. She was an Earth-level master, so Yemo didn't think he was invincible here. If that bunch old nuns were easy to talk to, it would be fine. If not, he could never return. They weren't easy to talk to for sure. Just look at Jing Shi, that crazy woman. Yemo had the subconscious thought of not letting Luo Susu stay here. No matter what, he needed Luo Susu to agree. If she didn't want to leave, he had no choice either. After all, they only met once, so it could be said it was a single-sided love. He needed to go for sure, but before this he needed self-protective measures. Otherwise, if he saw Jingxi, perhaps he would be thrown down the cliff before he saw Luo Susu. How could he protect himself? With his current power, he was still no match for Jingxi. Perhaps when he was at the tertiary level of stage 3, he could fight her, but now he was only middle level. He had some simple techniques, but that wouldn't be a threat for that woman. And perhaps this woman wasn't the strongest. He was a cultivator, and his only assurance where he could rely on was his techniques. It wasn't plausible to wait till his cultivation level got higher. The spirit chi here was so scarce. When would he be able to progress? Although he had the 1,000-year snow lotus seed and a cauldron, it wasn't so easy to concoct pills, plus, even if he did, he needed time to digest them. The only thing he could rely on was his techniques, but a single fireball or wind blade wasn't quite useful. The only thing he could rely on was the element of surprise, but even that would only work once. What if he had large amounts of fireball and wind blade? Thinking about this, he had an idea. During battle, if he threw a large amount of fireball charms or wind blade charms, it would be like many of him fighting the one enemy. Although it was hard to make the fireball charm and the power would be half, there was power in quantity. Yes, he would use this hooligan way of fighting. Thinking about an Earth-level nun being surrounded by countless fireball and jumping up and down, Yemo wanted to laugh. I'm a hooligan. How can I be scared of a few nuns? He fantasized a while and was troubled again. Runes were hard to make and costed a lot to produce. He fantasized a while and was troubled again. Runes were hard to make and costed a lot to produce. There were no demon beast blood here, but he could replace it with ferocious beast blood. The main thing was that it took too much time. Last time, Yemo took a month to make 8 runes, but 8 weakened fireball runes wouldn't be able to do anything to that nun. Although it was related to his cultivation level at the time, Yemo didn't think he could make very much a day. Yemo thought for a long time and couldn't think of a better way to protect himself. He couldn't improve his power, so he could only improve his equipments. It seemed that he wouldn't be able to see Susu today, but it was fine that he knew she was here. He needed to go back and make some preparations. Thinking about this, Yemo came back the way he came from. He decided to make runes first and bring large amounts of runes to find trouble with Jingxi. He needed large amounts of money to make runes, but he didn't have much now. Last time, he cured Chua Aigua's uncle's disease, but he was embarrassed to ask for money. Now he realized how much he needed money. But Yi Mo had some ways for getting beast blood. He searched Wu Liang Mountain the entire night and hunted a leopard and a deer. Their blood was enough. Then Yi Mo left Wuliang Mountain and came to Yuyuan City. It wasn't too far from Wuliang Mountain. Yi Mo bought large amounts of yellow biao paper and some red ink sand before buying a brush. He spent the only money he had on him. He wanted to call Hu and ask if he had money, but thinking about it, Yi Mo gave up the idea. He wasn't at Luo Tsang, and Hu's business must not be going well. Perhaps they didn't even get one single order. This was possible. If Hu knew he needed money, he would give Hu mental burden. He should use up the materials he had first. Yi Mo found a hotel and hung up the sign, "Do not disturb," before starting to focus on making runes. Although his idea was good, reality disappointed him. After a whole day, he wasted 20 sets of materials but only made 6. Although it was countless times better than before, Yi Mo was still very unhappy with the result. The second and third day were slightly better. He made 16 altogether, but he wasted more. If things continued like this, Yi Mo felt it wasn't going to work out. First, he expended materials too fast. Second, it was too slow. The fourth day, the 100 sets of materials Yi Mo prepared only had 20 left. He felt things weren't going to work. If he couldn't improve the means he made the runes, he would need to gather more money. Making runes was a money-burning thing. Tang Beiwei stared at the middle-aged man, his amicable face before became hideous in her eyes. She had never met him before, but he wanted her to trick someone she didn't know. A sense of disgust rose from her heart. Tang Beiwei couldn't even be bothered to look at the middle-aged man as she said, "Sorry, I'm not interested." Then she turned to leave. The middle-aged man didn't even move as he slowly said, "According to what I know, if your mother doesn't have surgery soon, she would last half a month at most. Think about it. How hard was it for her to bring you up? When you're finally grown up, she needs to leave. If you don't have a way, never mind, but you do have a way to save her now, but you don't choose it. Ask yourself, are you treating her right?" Tang Beiwei turned around and looked at the man in fury. "You want me to trick someone I don't know? I'm not treating my sense of moral right." "Humph," the middle-aged man sneered. "Do you think we can't choose other people? I'll be honest with you. I pity you. That's why I chose you. This is very simple. You just need to bring that man to a place, and you don't need to worry about the rest. This isn't tricking. If he really likes you, at most you told him a lie once." Tang Beiwei's face changed drastically. She detested the man in front of her, but she knew he was saying the truth. If her mother didn't get surgery, she would last 2 weeks at most. Thinking about how her mom brought her up, pushing a small trolley to do business regardless of the wind or the rain, Tang Beiwei felt her heart was bleeding. She hesitated for a long time before asking, "Take him to where?" Yi Mo walked out of the hotel and pondered. There was a way to get money, but since Qing Shue was living at Ninghai, she must not have much on her. How about he borrows some from Jingwen? She was a wealthy girl. Shouldn't it be a problem? But then it was hard for him to ask a girl for money. Yi Mo thought and still couldn't make up his mind. He took out a jade artifact and looked. He decided to go to the magic artifact shop and see if he could sell it for a good price. If no one could tell its worth, he would then borrow from Su Jingwen. On the opposite side of the street, a middle-aged woman pushed a small trolley with food. She was selling snacks for night. A car drove past quickly with the markings city management on it. She quickly packed up her stall, but she accidentally spilt all the sauces on the ground. The middle-aged woman looked anxiously as the car drove past. She gasped a sigh of relief and then slowly started to pick up the things on the ground. Although no one helped her, a girl in her 20s came in front of the stall and helped her pick things up. Yemo smiled and thought this girl had a good heart. The magic artifact shop wasn't far from Yemo's hotel. He just walked a few minutes and he already arrived. The place was a small building, but Yemo didn't feel any sense of spirit at all from afar. He knew it wasn't very good and hesitated if he could sell his jade. And opposite the shop was a bar. From a business point of view, it was very unreasonable. "Sir, would you like to buy magic artifacts?" As soon as Yemo walked in, a girl in her 20s came and asked. Yemo smiled / "I'll take a look first." "Okay, please take your time." The girl was very polite, but Yemo knew no matter how polite she was, not much customers would come if there were no real things. Yemo scanned and was disappointed. These were worse than the ones from the social night. It could be said none of them were real. In this situation, it would be impossible for the boss to pay him a high price. Yemo thought so, and he knew he shouldn't even bother. Just when Yemo turned his head and walked out of the shop, he saw the girl who helped the middle-aged woman pick things up being harassed into a bar by two youths who had their hair dyed like a ghost. The girl was struggling, so it was obvious she was being forced. Yemo frowned. This was a legal society. So how could this happen in broad daylight? Yemo knew about this, but it wasn't even dark yet. He had a good impression of this good-hearted girl and was prepared to help her throw the two youth away, but he scanned his spirit sense and stopped his actions. Although the girl was pulled in by the two youth and her head was low while struggling, Yemo could scan the corner of her eye. There was no fear nor anger and worry. Her eyes were full of guilt, deep guilt. She was being abducted, but felt guilty? Yemo shook his head. He saw it clearly with his spirit sense. What was this? Her abnormal eyes made Yemo hesitate, so he didn't go up to save her. Yemo walked slowly towards the door of the bar, but kept his spirit sense to the girl. The two youth pulled her into a private room and slammed the door shut. Yemo didn't come save her. Tang Beiwei felt relieved but disappointed. The good-looking youth had such little courage. However, since he didn't take the bait, she couldn't be blamed. A large part of Tang Beiwei's top was ripped down, showing large pieces of snowy white skin. "Stop! What are you doing?" "Stop!" Tang Beiwei's eyes showed worry. Wasn't this an act? Why was it real now? "Haha, stop. Do you think someone Wang Xianxian, is interested and can run away?" A small door opened in the room and a youth walked out. Tang Beiwei angrily broke free of one hand and said, "I had a business deal with Wei Yongxian. He told me to come and act. Let me go." "Haha, act." Wang Xianxian laughed again. "Do you like acting? Very well. Lang Pai shows something. Let me and this chick watch while we act. This watery-eyed girl, my money is well spent." The red-haired youth that grabbed Tang Beiwei agreed and let her go. Then he took out a remote, and the TV immediately showed a pair of nude male and female yelling and moaning. Just when Yemo was suspicious, he saw the girl had a large piece of her clothes ripped off, and her eyes started becoming fearful and worried. It was no longer the guilt from before. What was this? Did he see wrong before? Just when Yemo was suspicious, he saw the girl had a large piece of her clothes ripped off, and her eyes started becoming fearful and worried. It was no longer the guilt from before. What was this? Did he see wrong before? At this moment, Tang Beiwei realized she might have been sold, and Yemo didn't follow her. The people in here were being real. There was no doubt about it. She broke free of one person and rushed to the door. Wang Xianxian quickly came up and pulled her. "You want to go?" "I've paid money. You haven't paid for that yet. Don't think about running. Animal, let me go. If you pull me again, I'm going to call the police. Why was she so stupid? She was tricked to a city she had never been before to trick someone else. Was this karma? Rip. Another piece of her clothes was ripped off, and her face was now full of despair. Brother Wang, enjoy her first. We'll go out to ease some fire too. The two youths saw the scene on the TV get spicier and was burning with lust. Before Wang Xianxian spoke, a voice replied, "Since you came, you don't need to leave." Who? Everyone in the room looked towards the door, as though in tacit agreement. A young man appeared there. No one knew when he came in. Tang Beiwei immediately recognized that youth was the person she was supposed to trick. He was called Yemo. She didn't expect him to really fall for it. She took the opportunity to hide behind Yemo, cursing Wei Yongqian over and over again. She was also tricked by him, so she would reveal all of his evil plans later. Who are you? Don't you know this is my territory? Punk, piss off. Don't piss me off. Wang Xianxian was full of anger being interrupted when he was about to enjoy life. Yemo raised his leg and kicked Wang Xianxian into the room, then kicked the other two in as well. The three couldn't resist at all. Yemo turned to Tang Beiwei and said, "Wait for me. I'll ask them a few questions inside." Then Yemo went in and closed the door. At this moment, the three finally realized Yemo was a tough guy. Yemo scanned the three and suddenly threw out two fireballs, burning the two lackeys into dust. They didn't even have time to scream. Then Yemo sat and looked coldly at Wang Xian. "You have 3 seconds. If you don't tell me the full story, you will be like that too." Wang Xianxian looked at his two lackeys turn to dust in terror. His teeth was rattling, and he couldn't say a complete sentence. He had never seen this sort of thing before. 2 fireballs and people were dead. There wasn't even a body left. "If you're not going to speak, then don't." Then Yemo had another fireball in his hand. Wang Xianxian controlled his shaking and said, "Don't we trick that girl from another city? Originally, she came to be my head slut. I didn't think." Wang Xianxian didn't need to say the rest, and Yemo already guessed it. That girl was probably tricked here from another city to be sold here as a prostitute. He shook his head and turned Wang Xianxian to ash with a raise of his hand. When Yemo had walked out of the room, Tang Beiwei had regained her composure, but her face was still pale. She had pulled the plug of the TV, but her clothes were still ripped. Even though she used her hands, she still couldn't cover it. Yemo took out a shirt of his and passed it to her. "Put that on, and we can talk outside." The girl quickly put on the clothes and didn't even notice where the clothes came from. She just said to Yemo gratefully, "Thank you for just then. Yemo waved his hand. "Go out first." But outside, although Tang Beiwei didn't know what Yemo did to the three inside, there were still a lot of people outside. Yemo smiled. "Don't talk, just stay by my side." Then Yemo used invisibility, cloaking him and Tang Beiwei. He walked out of the room and closed the door. Tang Beiwei didn't know she was invisible but looked at the passing by people. No one seemed to notice them, and they just waltzed out of the bar. Then Yemo took off the invisibility and asked, "What happened just then?" Tang Beiwei pouted her lips and said, "I have something important to tell you. Take me to a faraway place." Yemo frowned his brows. He had never seen Tang Beiwei before, so where did this important thing come from? He immediately shook his head and said, "No need. I still have things to do. You're out of danger. Leave quickly." Seeing that Yemo was going to go, Tang Beiwei was a bit worried. She wanted to tell Yemo about Wei Yongqian trying to harm him, but at this moment, her phone rung again. "It's you," Tang Beiwei said hatefully. Wei Yongqian's plain voice sounded. "Your mother is doing a pre-surgical checkup. I believe you should understand. I didn't tell Wang Xianxian about this because he's just a lackey. It's impossible for him to act. So it had to be real. Plus, if he couldn't beat Yemo, he would spoil our plan, but we wouldn't let Wang Xianxian do anything to you. If Yemo didn't go in past a certain time, our men would go, and so don't blame me. Wei Yongqian seemed to know Tang Beiwei would succumb, and his voice was always so calm. Wei Yongqian, I'm not doing it. I will earn money for my mother myself. Animal. Tang Beiwei was about to hang up. Wei Yongqian dazed. He didn't expect Tang Beiwei to call it quits just when they were about to succeed. He quickly said the doctors checked and said if your mother didn't do surgery now, she wouldn't even last a week. Your mother isn't far. If you don't believe me, I can give the phone to her and let her talk. Plus, do you think you can amass 300K for the surgery in a week? Stop dreaming. You have succeeded half now. You just need to bring him to the place on the 27th, and your mother would be saved. Think about it. If you regret it, your mother will leave the surgical table immediately. Tang Beiwei helplessly put down the phone and looked at Yemo, who was not far away. She couldn't calm down at all. If she regretted, she would be giving away her mother's life. Just thinking about her mother's thin, like stick body gave her pain. Her mother was like that due to her. How could she kill her mother's last hope for survival? Yemo looked at Tang Beiwei. This girl was strange. He saved her, but she didn't leave and still stayed here being indecisive. Tang Beiwei hesitated for a long time. Her love for her mother took the upper hand. She had a good impression to Yemo. If possible, she would give her first time to him to repay him saving her life. Plus, she believed Yemo wouldn't be in danger even if she brought Yemo there. She didn't believe Wei Yongqian dared to kill. Tang Beiwei chased up to Yemo and worriedly said, "Brother, thank you for saving me, but I'm still a little scared, and I don't have money on me, not even money for a ticket." Yemo studied Tang Beiwei. She did look not very wealthy, and her phone was very old-styled too. He really didn't know why she came here. "I don't have money either. I can't help you with this." Yemo shook his head. He really didn't have money. He forgot to search their pockets before. Tang Beiwei looked at Yemo's clothes. It wasn't bad. How could he not have money? But since she made up her mind, she couldn't go back again. She quickly said, "Big brother, I need to go to my grandma. As long as I go to her place, I will have money to go back." Yemo looked at Tang Beiwei. He had this constant feeling that this girl was acting weird. She had escaped death, but why did she keep sticking to him? Plus, she had those weird eyes before. Seeing Yemo not talk, Tang Beiwei's pale face was a little red. She quickly said, "Big brother, sorry, I really don't know anyone here. You saved me. I should leave immediately, but Then Tang Beiwei's eyes reddened. She really wanted to cry. Someone saved her, but she was trying to trick him. Although she didn't want to harm Yemo, she also couldn't face her helpless mother. She felt it was so hard. If she was just by herself, she wouldn't follow Yemo so shamelessly. "Stop." Yemo saw Tang Beiwei was about to cry and quickly told her to stop. He was scared of women's tears the most. After a while, he said, "What's your name? Where is your grandma?" Tang Beiwei wiped her eyes before helplessly saying, "I'm Tang Beiwei. My grandma is in Wuliang Mountain." "Big brother, I don't know your name yet." "Wuliang Mountain," Yemo repeated and asked, "I'm Yemo. Is your grandma doing business at the tourist places at Wuliang Mountain?" Tang Beiwei shook her head. "No, brother Yi. The place she's living at is a bit far off." Yemo didn't ask and said, "I don't have money recently either, but follow me first. I'll see if I can earn some money and give you some. I don't have time to go find your grandma with you. I'm really busy. I can't help you with this." Yemo was kind-hearted and had a good impression of this very soft and good-looking Tang Beiwei, but he really couldn't pull out time to go with her to find her grandma. You're tuning in to the Mystic Fist YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.